Chapter 50:12 Long Chen left with a gloomy face. This Long Tianrui was too cruel, and Long Chen didn't want to see her for a moment, but before leaving, Long Chen arranged Qin Feng to be treated by Lord Tianxi. Everyone has seen Qin Feng's strength. Here, among the same generation, only the existence of Zhao Qingshan's level can threaten Qin Feng's life. Others, even the strongest, can only fight to a draw with Qin Feng. Although Qin Feng and Yi Lingkong fought a fight that day, both sides suffered. In fact, if it was really a battle of life and death, Yi Lingkong would have no chance at all, because Qin Feng would not foolishly fight him with brute force. He could use all means to kill him. The reason why Qin Feng fought with him that day was actually using him as a whetstone to deliberately create danger, stimulate life instinct, better stimulate the dragon soul in his body, and make himself stronger. During the time when Long Chen was away, I don't know who first discovered this method. That is, when a person's life is dying or when they are severely injured, their dragon soul will be stimulated, thereby strengthening them. Body and soul. These dragon souls are existences that have lived for countless years and possess unimaginable power. They possess countless magical powers, but they are unwilling to share them. Later, after everyone's exploration, they found that there are two ways for the dragon soul to share the magical power. Another way is to get injured. It is best to let yourself be on the verge of death, and make dragon soul feel that if you don't save yourself, you will end up with him and have to make you stronger. This is why Qin Feng became so powerful during the time Long Chen left no change, because everyone has become stronger. The reason why Guoran sent Qin Feng here is to let Long Chen know the current situation of the Dragon Blood Legion. On the other hand, Qin Feng's strength is not the strongest in the Dragon Blood Legion, but he is witty and alert. I followed Long Chen alone, so he was sent here. After arranging Qin Feng, Long Chen didn't bother to talk to other people, and after simply saying hello to Feng Fei, he continued to retreat. In this retreat, Long Chen did not immediately use dragon blood, but first used purple blood on his left hand to condense a cross-blood talisman, and then his right hand. Because of the previous experience, everything was familiar and completed quickly, and then the dragon blood was used. Buzzing. The dragon blood behind Long Chen is agitated, but it still refuses to merge with the purple blood star map, let alone imitate it. It seems extremely resistant. For 3 consecutive days, Long Chen exhausted all methods and failed. Long Chen had no choice but to ask Qianquan Ding for advice. Qianquan Ding told Long Chen that the will of the Dragon Clan is extremely proud, and they do not recognize other spells except the magical powers of their own clan, and they will not learn and practice. Therefore, if you want dragon blood to imitate it, you must use Long Chen's will to infect it, which consumes time and experience, and there is no way to cheat. Long Chen has no choice but to continue to let Zixue and dragon blood work together. At this time, the comparison is patience, and there is no way. Dragon blood is arrogant. At first, he didn't even look at the purple Xinghai, and Long Chen was like looking at its head. However, even when he was facing the purple star sea, it closed its eyes and didn't look at it. Long Chen could only use his soul and willpower to penetrate it, let it gradually understand this trick, and demonstrate it in front of it. The change of the cross to destroy the gods. There is no way, using force will definitely not work, it will only make it extraordinary. Qianquan Cauldron asks Long Chen to arouse its curiosity first, and then go to coax it to learn a little bit. In this way, Long Chen was soft and hard, and the time passed a little bit. It took 3 days for Long Chen to successfully arouse the interest of dragon blood, and it was not a willing replica star map. Boom! However, after re-engraving the star map, there was a problem when condensing the cross-blood talisman. The cross-blood talisman in Long Chen's palm exploded as soon as it appeared, and Long Chen's palm was blown to pieces. After trying more than 10 times in a row, it still failed and the hands were all blown up. Long Chen had to stop, and Long Chen began to call Qianquan Cauldron, but Qianquan Cauldron did not respond at all. Long Chen knew that Qianquan Cauldron might have reached some kind of critical moment. Can't be disturbed. There was no way, Long Chen could only grope for himself. Long Chen found that even if dragon blood began to cooperate with him, he always felt that he was reluctant. This move was always a little bit worse. Long Chen began to continue to communicate with dragon blood, and Long Chen no longer restrained dragon blood, giving him more freedom. Then Long Chen found that dragon blood was surging in the sea of stars, and there was a faint silhouette of a giant dragon emerging. Long Chen was startled. The dragon shadow looked so familiar, and seemed to have seen it there, but the dragon shadow was extremely blurry, and only the outline could be seen faintly. Buzz! Suddenly, Long Chen's palm became hot, and a dragon-shaped pattern appeared in his hand. Above the dragon picture, a cross appeared, and the two patterns overlapped. Call! Suddenly, Long Chen's palm was frantic, and the power of dragon blood was released uncontrollably in an instant. Then, Long Chen didn't know why he called out a name, Emperor's Blood Seal, the cross to destroy the god. With the sound of Long Chen's drink, a palm shot out, and a transparent ripple suddenly appeared on the practice stone, blocking the palm. Buzzing! The transparent ripples flickered rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it flickered 7 times. Long Chen's blow that gathered all his strength turned out to be like a mud cow entering the sea, and the light curtain disappeared. It's amazing, it actually activated the Dragon Emperor seal. At this time, the sigh of Qianquan Ding came from Long Chen's mind. Dragon Emperor's seal? What is that? Long Chen was also taken aback. Qianquan Ding said, "You will understand later. In fact, between heaven and earth, every magical power that is powerful to a certain extent has its own unique name. Regardless of whether it is the vastness of stars or the vastness of blood, it represents a kind of energy, but there is a kind of power that is above all laws. That is the power of the great emperor. I was still thinking at first that with your luck, the probability of activating the Dragon Emperor seal is only 1 in 10 million, but I didn't expect that you really succeeded. In this way, there is a trace of emperor energy in your cross god, and its destruction of the law is extremely terrifying. If you let your palm slap on the practice stone, the entire mountain will turn to dust, and the rest of the referees below you will be wiped away in an instant. So I stopped your blow." So strong. Long Chen looked at his hand in disbelief, his eyes full of ecstasy. Chapter 50:13 Long Chen looked at the divine rune on the palm of his hand that was gradually fading, and his heart was full of excitement. The fusion of the word cross and the dragon figure marked that this move was no longer an ordinary cross to destroy the gods. Because behind the double image, there is a faint rune, but it is too dim to see clearly. But on that rune, Long Chen felt a familiar breath. This breath was in the mortal world, and he felt it in the body of Emperor Yunshang and others. As for Emperor Blood Seal, Long Chen is no stranger to it, but it was his first contact in immortal realm. You know some things, I don't have to say too much, and it's not convenient to say them. After you condense the Emperor's Blood Seal, your connection with that person is even closer. Last time, it used a huge amount of power to help you. In addition, due to some unexplainable reasons, it is in a difficult situation. Only by cultivating your Emperor's blood mark can it be awakened as soon as possible. Qianquan Ding said. When Qianquan Ding said this, Long Chen's heart was trembling, and after the dragon powerhouse helped him solve the crisis, he lost contact. He never knew why the dragon clan experts stopped communicating with him. Now, listening to the meaning of Qianquan Cauldron's words, the cost of transmitting power through the air is very high. And Qianquan Ding uses the word awakening to know the seriousness of the problem. Although the strong dragon and Long Chen have no name of master and apprentice, they have the reality of master and apprentice. It is Long Chen's journey of cultivation, giving him the greatest help people. Now that he heard the news of it again, Long Chen had mixed feelings in his heart. Unexpectedly, the elders of the dragon race fell into a predicament for him, and he was full of self-blame. How can I help it? Long Chen said excitedly he wished he could help it now. Actually, there are some things I don't want to say, and let that guy know he will blame me for talking. And you, again, is an impatient person. I hesitated for a long time before I said it. This matter cannot be rushed. You need to control the dragon blood cross to destroy the gods first. When you use it freely, and your 8 star is also activated, you can use the power of the 8 stars to feed back the blood of the emperor. When your Emperor's blood seal is strong, you can communicate with that guy again. Let me tell you this, its situation is not good, very bad, and it is even far worse than the me you saw at the beginning. Qian Ding said. This? Long Chen's heart jumped wildly. When Long Chen saw Qian Cauldron, the dragon powerhouses were shocked, so that Long Chen had to get it no matter what. At that time, Qian Ding was in a state of deep sleep, with patina all over his body, almost rotten, and the condition was extremely bad, but Qian Ding said that the state of the dragon powerhouse was far worse than it was at the beginning. Suddenly, Long Chen thought that when the dragon race powerhouse helped him for the first time, he said that he would make a deal with him, it would save Long Chen's life, and Long Chen would return it with his life in the future. But over the years, it has helped Long Chen countless times, but never asked for anything in return. Now that he heard Qian Ding say this, Long Chen was extremely uncomfortable. Okay, you just need to keep this matter in your mind, a lot of things can't be achieved quickly, you need to eat one bite at a time, and the road needs to be taken step by step. Therefore, what you need to do now is to continue to improve the control of the Dragon Blood Cross God. This will be of great benefit to your future practice of true cross-killing gods. Qian Ding said. How does it count? Long Chen hurriedly asked. Let's put it this way, your current cross-extinguishing god is a one-hit explosion, and your blood power is bottomed out, right? Qian Ding said. Yes, it's gone all of a sudden. Long Chen said. Qian Ding said, into the micro-level control, that is, with the power of your current bloodline, you can send 100 crosses to destroy the gods. 100 times? Long Chen was startled. How is this possible? That's right, 100 times. I know it's difficult, but there's no way. The supernatural powers of the 9 stars lineage are notoriously perverted, and the difficulty is despairingly strong. If you can't do this, the power of the star will not work at all. It is more violent and vast than the power of dragon blood, and it will burst your whole person in an instant. Therefore, even when the 9 stars lineage is at its most prosperous, the disciples are like the sands of the Ganges, but they are definitely the elites among the elites who can control the cross-extinguishing god. Control is the key. It's like opening a gate to release water. Now you don't have a gate at all. Every time you release it, it will burst the embankment. On the one hand, too much energy was wasted, and it was vented aimlessly, resulting in the dispersion of power, the inability to concentrate, and the serious decline in power. On the other hand, this kind of impact is a foolish fight to injure the enemy by 1,000 and lose 800. Although your body is strong and there is chaos space to help you repair it, it is not a long-term solution after all. Qian Ding said. I listen to you, I will take my time, not in a hurry. Long Chen nodded. By the way, how is your senior? Long Chen couldn't help asking. Hey, what do you think? Qian Ding said with a smile. Long Chen was stunned for a moment, and then it sounded, the previous Qian Ding basically couldn't shoot, and it all depended on the power of others to hit it and rebound on its own. And just now, it calmly caught its own one-strike cross to destroy the god, which is already a qualitative improvement. Hey, that's great, it's not in vain for us to come all the way, this time it's a profit. Long Chen also smiled. After saying this, Long Chen calmed down and continued to practice the cross extinguisher. This time, he wanted to control the violent power of the dragon's blood to make it less violent, and at the same time control the output power, and strive to release the cross-extinguishing god more times. However, the dragon's blood is naturally violent, and Long Chen must go against its instinctive will, which requires the assistance of Long Chen's more soul power. Fortunately, the power of Long Chen's soul is as vast as the sea, and I usually don't know how to use it, but this time it came in handy. This time, Long Chen is very serious, because he knows that this move is too important for him or for the Dragon Powerhouse. Long Chen never had the chance to repay the kindness of the Dragon Powerhouse, which filled his heart with guilt, and he had to get stronger quickly. With the passage of time, Long Chen's control of the power of dragon blood has become more and more smooth, and dragon blood has become softer and softer with the participation of massive soul power. When the power of Long Chen's soul is fused with the power of dragon blood, The power formed not only retains the powerful explosive power of dragon blood, but also does not obliterate its will. A few days later, Long Chen was able to control the power of the bloodline and stimulated the cross to destroy the gods 3 times in a row, but Long Chen was shocked to find that the power of the 3 crosses to destroy the gods was not much worse than the first time, even because the power is concentrated in a single point, and the destructive power is even more amazing. Even Qiankuan Cauldron is full of praise for Long Chen's progress. Soon, Long Chen has been able to activate the cross extinguishing god 10 times in a row. Long Chen's control is becoming more and more skilled, and he has gradually mastered the tricks. He is preparing to attack 100 times. Was interrupted. Master Referee, today is the top 32 qualifying match, and you need to preside over it yourself. At this time, a voice came from outside the door. Chapter 50:14. I forgot about this. Long Chen was helpless for a while, but since he had already received the benefits of Lord Tianxi, Long Chen could only temporarily give up his practice. Long Chen tidied up a little and left the cave. Long Chen found that all the referees had been waiting for a long time, and looking at their faces, it was estimated that they were a little impatient. It turned out that today is the top 32 competition, and it is also the start of the highest standard competition of the elite competition. To put it bluntly, most of the previous competitions are here to join in the fun, and now is the real start. From the top 64 to the top 32, all the contestants are the children of destiny. It can be said that the specifications are unprecedented. And as the strength of the disciples becomes stronger and stronger, the chief referee needs to sit in the chair in person, because the rewards for the top 32 and above are all super generous. Supervise yourself. When the game reached this level, the game style was different from before, because the difference in strength between the Sons of Destiny was often not particularly huge. Moreover, it is also forbidden for the disciples to fight to the death in the arena. After all, the Son of Destiny, if one dies or the other is abolished, it is not a small loss for the 4 masters. Therefore, when 2 disciples seem to be evenly matched in strength and fail to decide the winner within the specified time, the referees need to make a ruling. This can easily lead to dissatisfaction among the disciples. Therefore, a fair chief referee becomes the final arbiter. That is why, in the top 32 competition, the chief referee needs to be present. Respected referee, you can be considered to have come out. A referee saw Long Chen, and he was not salty or indifferent. Obviously, for Long Chen not coming on time, he still needs someone else to invite, let everyone wait, and feel dissatisfied. Long Chen is too lazy to bother with them. I'm just a name, just a passing scene. Do you really think I'm scornful of you, the chief referee? Besides, no one told me what time to assemble. You can have someone notify me earlier, but I didn't let you wait. It turned out that there was also an opening ceremony at the beginning of the top 32 competition. To put it bluntly, from this time onwards, it was the real elite struggle for hegemony. These referees need to enter the arena under the leadership of the chief referee. When Long Chen came to bring the venue, the entire viewing platform was already crowded. The last time Long Chen came, there were sparse people in the front row, and those super strong people didn't bother to watch other people's competitions, but today everyone is here. Long Tianrui, Zhao Qingtian, Yiling Shao, Jiang Wuliang, Feng Fei and others all arrived. When Long Chen, dressed in black and holding a golden scepter, led the referee team into the arena, thunder erupted in the distance. Cheers. These cheers all came from the mercenaries in the periphery. When they saw Long Chen, they were mad. In their hearts, Long Chen was already a godlike existence. The last time Qin Feng became famous in the first battle, everyone knew the name of the Dragon Blood Legion, and also knew what a terrifying legion Long Chen had. Such a terrifying character is just the most common warrior in the Dragon Blood Legion, not to mention Long Chen's strength. Today's mercenaries, because they are backed by a strong man like Long Chen, no longer have to be inferior to others, and no longer have to swallow their voices. They have all made up their minds to leave the Long family together and go to Lingshao Academy. Although it is difficult to leave their homeland, they see the hope of becoming stronger and a road to freedom. They no longer hesitate, no longer worry about gains and losses, and suppress their inner fear of the outside world, and are determined to follow in the footsteps of the strong. The most important thing is that they found that before they left Tianhuang, they would feel extremely uncomfortable, but after cultivating the Milky Way heaven art, this discomfort has disappeared, which completely dispelled all concerns in their hearts. Now that they have already planned to leave this sad place, they have no reservations anymore, and started cheering and roaring to release their depressed mood, and they don't care whether others are happy or not. Long Chen entered the venue, cheering thunderously, detonating the audience like a straight. The cheers were many times stronger than the cheers when Zhao Qingtian and others entered the venue. Even Long Tianrui was far worse. Zhao Qingtian and Yi Lingxiu's eyes were full of jealousy, and even the disciples of the four great clans were very upset, but they didn't dare to call out these mercenaries at will. Because the mercenaries today are no longer the mercenaries of the past. Just 3 days ago, a conflict broke out between the disciples and the mercenaries. The mercenaries have already been reborn, and their strength is not weaker than them. In particular, the exercises they practiced are extremely domineering. Once they make a move, they are not afraid of death. Although these disciples are powerful, how can they have the determination to fight to the death? Even if the strength is much higher than the opponent's, it must be suppressed by the opponent's momentum. 10% of the strength can't give out 7 or 8 points, and it is naturally defeated. Fortunately, these mercenaries are not as ruthless as Qin Feng. Otherwise, after a conflict, I don't know how many people will die. In the deafening cheers of the mercenaries, Long Chen walked to the referee's seat step by step. At that moment, Long Chen was the focus of the audience. Even if Long Chen was used to seeing the world, he couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. This guy, no matter where he goes, is the focus of the audience. Feng Fei looked at Long Chen's figure with a sweet smile on the corner of her mouth. When Jiang Wang saw Feng Fei expressing his adoration so unreservedly, a wry smile appeared on his face. He is also a man, and even a man is jealous, and Feng Fei really doesn't care about his feelings at all. As for Feng Fei's words, the surrounding Long Tianrui, Yi Lingxiu, Zhao Qingtian and others could also hear it. This made Jiang Wang a little more comfortable, because he saw Yi and Zhao who were about to squirt fire eyes. The reason why they were so angry was that on the one hand they were stimulated by Feng Fei, and on the other hand, they were stimulated by Long Tianrui's expressionless face. Long Chen entered and stole everyone's limelight, but Long Tianrui was always expressionless and indifferent. Obviously, she still didn't give up on Long Chen. They approached Long Tianrui so actively, Long Tianrui didn't even bother to look at them, but Long Chen has been ruthlessly rejecting Long Tianrui, which made them even more embarrassed. For this credit, they all counted on Long Chen. Dust on the head. Long Chen didn't look at anyone, and walked straight to his position. The golden scepter in his hand was lightly flicked, and the robe was thrown, and the person slowly sat down. Hey, Long Chen suddenly realized that he also had the demeanor of a superior. When Long Chen sat down, the cheers slowly stopped, and the audience returned to silence again. Buzz, at this moment, on the field, 32 arenas lighted up at the same time, and a referee shouted loudly, "For Protoss Elite Tournament, Top 32 Competition, start." Chapter 50 32 arenas were lit up at the same time, and 2 contestants appeared on each arena. As Long Chen had expected before, all of them were powerful sons of destiny. Moreover, there are many disciples wearing Long family costumes, and the Long family is not as weak as it seems on the surface, and the heavenly ranking does not represent all the strong. Because there are many disciples who are very tolerant, they have never revealed their strength, and they want to be a blockbuster in this competition. And Long Ziwei, who used to be the 10th master of the heavenly ranking, unfortunately, was eliminated very early. The one who eliminated him was also a half-step destiny son, and the one who defeated him also ended at 128. It can be said that in the elite competition, there are many people who are holding back their strength, waiting to shine in this arena. 32 arenas, all numbered from 1st to 32nd, this is the order in which they compete. However, what was different from the past was that the disciples in the 32 arenas were all sitting cross-legged on the arena with their eyes closed, as if they were in a state of concentration. They have been in this state for 3 days, and they are adjusting their state in the arena so that they can enhance their control over the arena space, and they can't be sloppy in the slightest. On the 32 arenas, 64 disciples appeared, but they did not know what was going on outside, and they maintained a certain state. Buzz, when the first ring was opened, the divine light was surging, and Long Chen's figure appeared on the ring. By convention, all games after the top 32 had to be presided over by the chief referee. When Long Chen appeared, the 2 disciples sitting cross-legged on the ring slowly opened their eyes at the same time. They saw their opponents, and they also saw Long Chen. When they saw Long Chen, there was a look of ridicule and disdain in their eyes. Obviously, they were dissatisfied with this referee. In the past, the chief referee required at least a heavenly saint powerhouse with a dragon vein to be qualified to be competent, and Long Chen was in the same realm as them, not even the mandate of heaven. What qualifications are there to be their referee? I hope they don't accidentally kill the chief referee, otherwise it will be funny. In the ring, some disciples sneered. Although Qin Feng shot before and shocked the audience, but few of these people have seen Long Chen's shot, so they are still full of doubts about Long Chen's strength. Peaceful discussion until the point is reached, friendship first, competition second. Long Chen opened his mouth and said the routine words without any nutrition. There is no way. Some forms still have to go. After saying a lot of nonsense, Long Chen said, "Competition, start." Buzz, with a wave of the golden scepter mentioned by Long Chen, the diaphragm in the middle of the ring disappeared in an instant. When the diaphragm disappeared, the 2 disciples slammed and drank at the same time. Boom! The destiny roulette behind the 2 was agitated, and the violent and ferocious force of destiny erupted like a volcano. The movements of the 2 were almost synchronized, and the 2 weapons slashed at each other at the same time. As soon as the shot is made, it is an unreserved, reckless fight. The 2 divine soldiers slashed each other, and the explosion shook the sky. This was a reckless fight between the sons of destiny. The violent power shook the entire arena and trembled, and the entire spectator seat also shook. The blood was ignited by the terrifying power of the 2, and they shouted and shouted. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 of them roared again and again, swords and swords, fighting hard, like 2 meteors, colliding back and forth on the ring, and the speed was too fast to catch with the naked eye. It's really strong. At the edge of the ring in the distance, Long Ziwei, Qin Feng, Gui Jiao and others were sitting together. Long Ziwei couldn't help sighing when they saw their stormy attack. When he lost, he was still a little unconvinced at the time. In his heart, he always felt that he had the ability to rush into the top 32, and the reason why he lost was bad luck. But now that he saw the real powerhouse duel, he realized that the gap with others was too great. Just the day before yesterday, Long Ziwei's destiny ring evolved into the destiny roulette, and he also advanced from a half-step son of destiny to a real son of destiny. He was full of chagrin and felt that if he could awaken the son of destiny in advance, he would not be defeated at that time. However, Qin Feng told Long Ziwei that if he hadn't experienced that tough, decisive battle and was squeezed and stimulated by the opponent's breath, he would not have awakened the son of destiny so quickly. But even though he said that, Long Ziwei was still a little unconvinced, but now he is convinced, because even with his current strength, facing such an opponent, he still has no chance of winning, and the gap is huge. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud noise, and the 2 faced off with all-out efforts once again. The 2 magic weapons lit up the entire arena with radiance. This was the peak blow of the 2 since the start of the war. The strong wind roared, and the force of destiny was like a knife, hitting the arena barrier, and the sturdy barrier actually had fine cracks, causing people to exclaim. You must know that after entering the top 128, the arena has been upgraded, and it is the first time that someone can destroy the enchantment, which shows how terrifying the power of the 2. Long Chen will be fine. Seeing this scene, Yueying couldn't help but worry. Such a terrifying power is an indiscriminate attack, and Long Chen will also be brought into it. Boom! The strong wind roared in the arena, and the two contestants were shaken to the edge of the arena by each other's strength. Obviously, the strength of the two was half a caddy, and neither one took advantage. In the middle of the ring, Long Chen held a golden scepter, his long hair fluttered, and his robes fluttered. From beginning to end, he did not move his footsteps. The fierce battle between the two had no effect on him. Seeing this scene, the mercenaries on the viewing platform couldn't help cheering. Now it seems that their worries are completely unnecessary. In the crazy fierce battle between the two sons of destiny, Long Chen can still stand there so calmly, which means that his strength is definitely far above the two of them. On the viewing platform, Feng Fei had a smile on the corner of her mouth. She held her chin with her jade hand, and her big eyes were full of brilliance. For some reason, she liked to look at Long Chen's appearance. I don't know since when she chose to be a spectator, the whole world became so beautiful. Sometimes, it's just so strange, the more you want to get something, the more God will create all kinds of obstacles to prevent you from getting it. But when you become hopeless, God will send it to you. At first, her strength was thrown farther and farther by Long Chen, but now, she feels that she is farther and farther away from Long Chen. It's getting closer, so close that you can see everything about him clearly and appreciate every luminous point on him. Kill! Suddenly the two of them roared at the same time. The two of them couldn't attack for a long time, and they seemed to be out of anger. The more they fought, the more fierce they became. It's going to kill people. Boom! Suddenly, the long sword in one of the hands slashed into the sky, but was blocked by the opponent's knife. However, a strange scene appeared. The long sword of the man was like a bolt of lightning, stabbing Long Chen's throat, causing the strong people present to exclaim. Chapter 50:16 Long Chen was in the middle of the arena, and the man's sword was out of control, like a bolt of lightning stabbing Long Chen's throat, with unbelievable precision, and some people would even suspect that this was a premeditated plan. At this time, Long Chen did not enter the fighting state at all. Such a fast attack contained the full power of the Son of Destiny. At that moment, Yuang and others were so frightened that their faces turned pale, and they even forgot to exclaim. However, when the long sword was only 3 inches away from Long Chen's throat, it stopped abruptly and could no longer be stabbed. I saw that Long Chen's 2 fingers were covered with fine scales, and the long sword was firmly clamped. The violent long sword was like a poisonous snake being hit by 7 inches, and all the momentum disappeared in an instant. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. Even Long Tianrui couldn't help but be moved. Long Chen's move was light and calm. Obviously, all of this was within his expectations. You must know that the battle between the two was like a violent storm, and the move just now, such as Long Tianrui, Jiang Wuliang, Feng Fei and other powerhouses, can be seen that this is a wrong move. Just because it was a mistake, it was impossible to predict at all, and just such a move was still within Long Chen's expectations, so this kind of accurate prediction would be too scary. The most terrifying thing is that Long Chen shot, without the slightest anger, and without any fluctuations in blood, just using 2 fingers, but offset the sword of a Son of Destiny containing the power of the whole body, a simple move. But challenge everyone's cognitive space. Countless strong people took a breath of air when they saw it. Countless people were unconvinced before, but now, although they are hostile to Long Chen, in front of this move, they have to surrender. This is strength, absolute strength. The 2 sons of destiny in the ring were also stunned when they saw this scene. The disciple holding the sword knew the strength of the opponent deeply. Every sword he made, he needed to go all out, and he didn't dare to slack off. But with such a sword, Long Chen could easily grasp it with only 2 fingers. He was shocked, and his opponent was so shocked that he couldn't even speak. At the beginning, this sword stabbed Long Chen. He suddenly felt bad, he wanted to take the trick. He didn't care about Long Chen's life or death, but if the opponent took the opportunity to attack, he would never have a chance to come back. But it happened too fast, he didn't have time to collect it. The long sword was already caught by Long Chen's 2 fingers, and the shocking power attached to that sword disappeared without a trace, like a mud cow entering the sea. Long Chen's face was calm, but he was screaming madly in his heart. He was madly thanking Chenkuan Cauldron and the Cross God. Since cultivating the cross-extinguishing god, the perverted level of difficulty has allowed him to control his own power by a huge level. If it was before, facing the sword of the Son of Destiny, he could easily block it, but he couldn't hold it so calmly and easily unload the opponent's power. Cultivating the Dragon Blood Cross-Extinguisher, unconsciously, gave him a huge surprise. Even if he did not use the cross-extinguishing god, his strength was greatly improved. After the surprise, Long Chen looked at the disciple lightly and flicked his fingers. Buzz, the long sword trembled, the disciple groaned, took a few steps back, and then stood firm. At that moment, his face changed greatly. Long Chen's flick made his arm numb, the long sword almost couldn't hold it, and his chest was even more painful, and he almost spurted out a mouthful of blood. "You lose," Long Chen said lightly. "Nonsense, how did I lose? I still have a lot of tricks to do?" The disciple was furious. Long Chen said, "The strength of the two of you is indistinguishable, but your experience is lacking, and the technical handling is not as meticulous as the other party. Because of this, his tricks can still be controlled, but you are out of control. Don't accept it. This is the gap. Masters make tricks, and details determine victory or defeat. If I don't get involved, you will have to fight for at least a few hours before you can decide the winner. Who has the time to spend with you? You can obey, and you have to obey. In this arena, I am the boss. You can file a complaint if you don't agree, but in this arena you force me to force lie. Be careful that I will slap you." Call. After Long Chen finished speaking, with a wave of the golden scepter, the two were teleported out at the same time, and at the same time as the teleportation, the nameplates on the waists of the two people, one lit up, the other dimmed, and the outcome was decided. The disciple holding the long sword was obviously dissatisfied, and after returning to the viewing platform he shouted loudly, pointing the long sword at the disciple, and wanted to fight that disciple privately. But the disciple didn't bother to pay attention to him. The disciple was very angry and wanted to continue making trouble, but was slapped to the ground by Zhao Qingtian. "Shut up, Lao Tzu. If you lose, you lose. Your skills are not as good as others, and you have to learn how to scold the shrew. You have lost all the Zhao family's face." Zhao Qingtian scolded angrily. It turned out that the Son of Destiny was a disciple of the Zhao family, and Zhao Qingtian, Long Tianrui and other powerhouses at that level could see that this disciple of the Zhao family was indeed weaker than his opponents. As Long Chen said, the battle between them will take at least a few hours to decide the winner, and this kind of battle is often the most boring. Long Chen decides the winner so quickly, no problem at all. If he doesn't agree, he can appeal to the head of his own family instead of yelling here, which will only make the Zhao family more embarrassing. The man was slapped down by Zhao Qingtian, and he didn't dare to say a word. Zhao Qingtian was a strong man in ancient seals. Even if he was also the Son of Destiny, he didn't dare to be presumptuous with Zhao Qingtian. He could only cover his face and quietly sit down. At this time, Long Chen had already come to the second arena, and it was still the same set as before. He said his lines first, and then opened the arena. As soon as the arena opened, the two disciples broke out immediately, and the powerhouses in the audience once again concentrated on watching the battle. In the depths of the Long family underground palace, the patriarchs of the four gods gathered together, watching the situation on the ring through a mirror. This Long Chen is as strong as a monster. No wonder Long Tianrui values him so much. The Jiang family leader couldn't help but said. At the same time, he also remembered what Feng Fei had told him more than once, saying that he was the most perverted guy in the world, and that the so-called genius was a scum in front of him. Before, he didn't believe it very much, but now, this is a simple move, but he was convinced. No matter how strong he is, he can't be stronger than Zhao Qingtian. The Zhao family leader said with some dissatisfaction. "I think Yi Lingxiao can also beat him." The Yi family leader also said confidently. The Jiang family leader couldn't help frowning. He just said that Long Chen's strength was good. Why was he targeted like this? Just as he was about to speak, the head of the Long family hurriedly smoothed things out. "Don't say that these are meaningless. Let's have a good discussion today. How to deal with Long Chen, whether to let him die or live?" As soon as the head of the Long clan opened his mouth, The expressions of the other three clan heads suddenly became serious. Chapter 50:17. When the head of the Long family said this, the atmosphere of the scene suddenly became solemn. The head of the Jiang family looked at Long Chen on the ring and said nothing. After the Long family leader finished speaking, he also looked like he was lost in thought. Only the Zhao family and Yi family leaders looked at the Long family leader for a while, and the Jiang family leader for a while. In the end, the Zhao clan leader said impatiently, "What are you doing? You have already laid the groundwork here. Are you planning to back down? I ask you, who doesn't want to get involved in the Qiankuanding? Who can't be heartbroken? As long as we kill Long Chen, we can have it with peace of mind. This will also be the foundation for the rise of our four great gods. What is there to hesitate or worry about? Yes, we have no way out now. Qiankuanding must stay. Long Chen must also be killed. There is no second way to go." The Yi family leader also followed. The head of the Long family said worriedly, "I'm afraid when Long Zhantian comes back, you all know that he is a lunatic. Even the ancestors hated him for 3 points at the beginning. What are you afraid of? Now Brahma Pill Valley has received our message. The strong man is already on the way, and will soon arrive at the Long family. Why? Do you want to go back on it at this time?" The Zhao family leader said. The head of the Long family sighed and said, "This is the last time I seek your opinions. If Long Chen is released at this time, there is still room for turning back. If we don't let him go, then we will have to fight to the death in the future. If we don't do it cleanly, no one can bear Long Zhanshan's anger. Even if he can't help us, but keeps attacking and killing our disciples, then the disciples of the four major gods will probably be killed by him. When it comes to Long Zhantian, the head of the Long family has a headache. When Long Zhantian fought against the entire Long family with one person, he still remembers that scene. At that time, if it wasn't for the ancestors' action, the war would be on the verge of breaking out. Although Long Qihua claimed to be able to defeat Long Zhantian, that was just his claim. The people who attacked Long Zhantian at the beginning thought they could kill him, including Long Zhe, whose arm was torn off. Facts have proved that they were all wrong. In fact, they had already made a plan. But now in the ring, Long Chen's 2 fingers greeted the sword of the Son of Destiny. This picture made the head of the Long family jump wildly, and was a little uneasy. He even wanted to retreat, because he knew that the plan was successful. If it failed and Long Chen escaped, then not only the Qiankuanding and the others could not keep it, but also the bloody revenge of the Long family's father and son. That's really mutton. I didn't eat it and I also got a show. The head of the Yi family couldn't help but said, "You are really worrying. Our plan is foolproof and will never go wrong." When the Pill Valley powerhouse arrived, we immediately took down Long Chen, did not give him a chance to speak, and turned him into a corpse and handed it over to Brahma Pill Valley. At that time, not only will we keep the secret, but we will also be able to sell Brahma Pill Valley a favor. As long as we control the scene, we will put the blame on Brahma Pill Valley afterwards. We put on a posture to protect Long Chen with all our strength, but still failed to succeed. What if Long Zhantian came back? The injustice has the head, the debt has the owner, and if he has the ability, he will go to the Brahma Pill Valley to take revenge? The Zhao family leader also echoed, "Yes, Long Chen has always been against the Brahma Pill Valley, and even killed the temple master of the Fire Temple, which is equivalent to completely angering them. When the time comes, we will cooperate with Brahma Pill Valley and perform a play. I believe Brahma Pill Valley will definitely be willing to cooperate. After all, just killing Long Chen can't dispel the hatred in their hearts. They will also be angry with Long Chen's father. When the time comes to kill people with a knife, wouldn't it be beautiful to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? I'm afraid that something will happen. To be honest, looking at this little bastard now, I always feel a little scared." The head of the Long family looked at Long Chen's figure, shook his head and smiled bitterly. "You're too timid. What are you afraid of? When something goes wrong, it's not just your family who is responsible. All 3 of us are grasshoppers on a rope, aren't they?" The head of the Jiang family. The Jiang family patriarch knew that they were forcing him to express his position. In fact, he also remembered Feng Fei's words, But at this time, the temptation of Qian Kuan-ding was in front, and there was Brahma Pill Valley behind him. Nodded and said, "That's right, our 4 Protoss are united in spirit, advancing and retreating together, you don't have to worry about that. However, for the sake of safety, we also need to deduce the plan in detail, and make up for all the places that may go wrong. We must be foolproof." After the Jiang family leader said this, the other 3 family leaders nodded and began to continue the deduction and deployment. And Long Chen stood on the ring, and he didn't know that these old guys were calculating him there, and he didn't care at all. Anyway, there was Qian Kuan Cauldron, and these things shouldn't bother him. Now he is in the 4th test. Long Chen used the battle between the Sons of Destiny to peep the secrets of the Sons of Destiny, and at the same time was looking for their weaknesses and strengths, so that he could use it as a reference for future battles. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud noise, and a sword of the Son of Destiny was cut by the opponent's battle axe. It turned out that the opponent's weapon was more powerful. Coincidentally, the opponent's 3 strikes were all at the same part of the long sword, and the long sword was damaged. It was cut off by the opponent's blow. Holding a long sword is a female disciple. Long Chen also knows this female disciple. She is from the Jiang family and once ate at a table, although Long Chen ran away after taking a few bites. Her long sword was cut off, and the audience exclaimed for a while, and even her opponent was startled. He didn't expect the opponent's weapon to be broken, and it was too late to stop the situation. Smash the head. When the golden scepter blocked the woman's forehead, bounced the battle axe, and saved the woman's life at a critical moment. The woman was so frightened that her face was pale, and when her soul was lost, she even forgot to thank Long Chen, but the man with the battle axe bowed slightly to thank Long Chen. After Long Chen announced that the man had won, he continued to start the next competition. I have to say that after 32 competitions, even Long Chen was tired and dizzy. After all, he has to concentrate on watching the battle, because one negligence can lead to death. He doesn't care about these people's lives, but to die in his arena is equivalent to hitting him in the face. Fortunately, I gritted my teeth and persevered. 32 competitions took place for 3 days, followed by 3 days of repairs, and after the repairs came the competition of the top 16. After Long Chen returned to his residence, he continued to practice the Dragon Blood Cross Extinguishing God. Long Chen was suddenly pleasantly surprised to find that after hosting 32 consecutive competitions, he actually gained a lot of insights. Improvements and fixes. 3 days have passed, and Long Chen has been able to perform 10 crosses to destroy the gods in one breath. This is a rapid progress for Long Chen. 3 days have passed. This time, Long Chen didn't wait for others to call, he walked out of the cave, but when he walked out of the cave, Long Chen's heart suddenly tightened. Chapter 50:18 When Long Chen walked out of the cave again, he felt a tremor in his heart, and a vague sense of crisis came to Long Chen's heart. What's the situation? The Long family is going to deal with me so soon? Long Chen felt a little strange. If the Long family wanted to deal with him, Qian Kuan-ding would be the first to notify him. Moreover, the sense of crisis, if there is no such thing, seems to come from a very distant place. Long Chen really wants to take out the amethyst Tiantong to have a look, but this is the territory of the Long family, and some treasures are not revealed. The sense of crisis is not particularly strong, and I don't need to pay too much attention for the time being. Long Chen sorted out his clothes, held a golden scepter, and came to the ring again. When Long Chen arrived, it was still a thunderous sound. At the same time, among the 4 major families, there were also many disciples secretly applauding Long Chen. In their eyes, there was less contempt and a little more awe. Last time, Long Chen presided over 32 arena matches in a row. Although he made very few shots, every time he made a move, he was shocked. At this time, people knew why the Long family let Long Chen be the chief referee. Because Long Chen did have that strength, many referees were unconvinced before, but at this time, they were no longer unconvinced. The battle between the children of destiny, they can't cover it, let alone cover it, there is a danger of being beaten to death. This is strength. In the cultivation world, The easiest way to gain recognition and respect from others is to show strength. When Long Chen came to the position of the chief referee, some referees began to read the rules of the game aloud. It was nothing more than the set of friendship first and competition second. Although the rules were not long, they could finish in a few sentences, and everyone could hear them. To be cocooned but still have to read. Everything went according to the process, and Long Chen came to the stage again. The difference this time was that when Long Chen opened the arena, the two did not start it immediately, but bowed to Long Chen according to the rules of the game. This makes Long Chen a little surprised. Obviously, the strong are all worthy of respect. In the last test, Long Chen was recognized by everyone, and they finally no longer entangled in Long Chen's cultivation, but really see him as a respectable referee. Seeing that the two respected him so much, Long Chen nodded and said, "You all do your best. Don't worry, the road to cultivation is hard to find. You should be like a lion rushing at a rabbit. Do your best to find yourself in victory, and fail in defeat. Sum up experience." Hearing what Long Chen said, the two were immediately grateful. Long Chen's words made it very clear. You work hard as much as you can, and with me, you will definitely not die. In fact, in this elite match, most people can't let go of their hands and feet. After all, this is a friendly match. If anyone misses and kills the other party, it will seriously damage the family's emotions. Especially when they reach their level, they dare not do their best, and at this high level, they are eager to fight with all their strength. Now that they have received Long Chen's promise, they are more grateful and admire Long Chen in their hearts. After salute Long Chen again, the two broke out at the same time. This time, the style of their shots has completely changed, and it is no longer purely pure power and momentum. Recklessly, the tricks are gradually fierce, and the real meaning of killing begins. This time is the real battle. On the viewing platform, Long Ziwei couldn't help but sigh that their moves were fierce, leaving no room for them. Once they made a move, they would kill the opponent. This is the real combat. Long Ziwei and others saw their blood boil, which was completely different from those bells and whistles before. The fierce and ferocious aura made the soul tremble. Boom, boom, boom. Behind the two sons of destiny, the wheel of destiny is spinning, the power of destiny is rising, and the two long swords are agitating, and the sword energy is vertical and horizontal, gathering but not dispersing. Shichichi. The sword chi slashed above the barrier, and the barrier was marked with white marks and made a harsh sound. At that moment, the powerhouses present nervously clenched their fists. This is the real decisive battle. Anyone who can't get it right will die, and because of this, it will make people feel nervous and exciting. Soon, blood will be seen on the two of them, because it is a real desperate fight, and the injury is very serious. Normal. However, how terrifying is the power of this son of destiny? Between injury and death, many times it is just a piece of paper. Boom, an hour later, there was a loud noise, and the two figures were separated. At this time, the two were covered in wounds, and some of the wounds could see bones. Even one of them was pierced by a sharp sword in his chest. The two gasped frantically, and the blood slowly dripped to the ground along their long swords, but they didn't know whether the blood belonged to the other party or their own. At that moment, the audience was dead silent. This bloody battle was so thrilling that people even forgot to send applause. I lost, however. What everyone did not expect was that the two of them spoke at the same time. After the two finished speaking, they were stunned for a while, and then laughed loudly. After a bloody battle between the two, they even thought of sympathy for each other. One of them said, "Win or lose, leave it to the referee to judge." At this time, thunderous applause came from outside the arena, and everyone was impressed by the strength and courage of the two. In their hearts, this is the real powerhouse. Long Chen said, "Your strengths are too close to be judged. You can find a place together and decide in private, whether it is a hero to cook wine, or rock, paper, scissors. You can do it yourself, as long as you put when one nameplate is crushed, the other nameplate will be automatically upgraded." Long Chen said this. The two smiled at each other, saluted Long Chen again, and left the ring together. The end of this battle, the audience is boiling, Today is the most exciting competition since they watched the battle. Although Qin Feng killed the strong before, but basically killed the enemy with one move, the strong is strong, but it is not worth watching and learn nothing more. But after this battle, the powerhouses present gained countless insights, which is the most important thing for them. The second competition was a big disappointment, because the disciples in the arena could not see the situation in the other arenas, so the two in the second arena, as before, still ignored Long Chen. Of course, Long Chen wouldn't take special care of them and let them continue their routine competition and head-to-head competition. For a time, people would yawn when they saw it. With the previous comparison, the later competition was simply boring. Soon one day passed, and the top 16 came out. Except for the first match, the rest of the competitions were nothing to watch at all. Almost all of them were the simplest violent hedging and momentum rolling, and there was no skill at all. However, some people can see that some people do not want to show their real strength, but their opponents are too weak to do so. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that some people deliberately retain their strength. After the top 16, it was another 3-day break. After returning to the residence, Long Chen did not continue to practice, but quietly took out the amethyst Tiantong. Court death. When Long Chen looked at the periphery of Tianhuang, a cold, killing intent appeared on his face. Chapter 50:19 Long Chen looked at the periphery of Long's house with his amethyst sky pupil, and did not find anything unusual at first, but when the scope expanded to the periphery of Tianhuang, Long Chen saw a group of people. This group of people is very mysterious. They are all wearing cloaks, covering their faces, and the cloaks are drawn with runes to cover up their breath. Although, even if it is not covered up, Long Chengwang cannot perceive the fluctuations of their cultivation bases through observation, and it is impossible to determine their strength. Although the cultivation base aura can be concealed, their own life fluctuations cannot be concealed. The space around them keeps distorting, and there are countless active flame runes circulating. And those flame fluctuations are different from normal flame fluctuations, because only the flame fluctuations with divine power will show the state of space distortion. At a glance, you can tell that these people are either from Brahma Pill Valley or from the Fire Temple. After all, Long Chen has dealt with them a lot and can easily know their identities. The reason why Long Chen's face showed anger was because he came to the Long family, which was a very confidential matter. Except that he notified the Dragon Blood Legion, he did not inform anyone. And the Dragon Blood Legion only informed Bailetian about this. That is to say, except for Bailetian, no one knew that Long Chen was here. This secret will never be leaked from there, that is to say, this secret is leaked by the Long family. And because of the matter of the Qiankuan Ding, the Long family will not easily leak his news, and will inevitably strictly restrain the people of the Long family. But now the people from Brahma Pill Valley have appeared, which means that it was the senior officials of the Long family who informed them, otherwise, it is impossible for the Long family to not know about so many people entering the wasteland. Long Chen watched through Amethyst Tiantong. These people were on the edge of the wilderness, arranging the formation. After watching for a while, Long Chen suddenly realized that they seemed to be blocking the secret. If the secret was blocked, it would be difficult for Long Chen to perceive the danger. It's strange, since they have already started to arrange the formation, why can I still perceive danger? Long Chen suddenly thought of a question. Brahma Pill Valley is not a fool, they will not do such useless things, and such a large area of frame formation is time-consuming and labor-intensive. If there is no effect, they will not do it. But he did it clearly, but he still sensed it. What was the problem? Is it the Qiankuan Ding? Or my Dandi memory? Long Chen thought about it for a long time, and seemed to think it was possible, but he couldn't be sure. Long Chen observed it carefully for a while, and he found that these people should have just arrived. Act recklessly. Long Chen looked around and found that there were dozens of people in the Pill Valley at the same time. However, if you want to use the array to cover the entire sky, it is a huge project, and it will definitely be no fun for a while. Let me see what medicines are sold in your gourds. A sneer appeared on the corner of Long Chen's mouth. Anyway, his cultivation base has greatly improved, his strength has greatly increased, and he has the backing of Qiankuan Ding, and he is not afraid of anyone. Long Chen did not continue to pay attention to them, but continued to practice the cross to destroy the gods. Long Chen found that he did not know if it was because he was affected by the power of destiny in the arena, and his dragon blood seemed to have a strong destiny. Fluctuations in power. After the power of dragon blood has the fluctuation of destiny, it is no longer as dry as before, but has a silky smoothness, which is easier to control, and at the same time, it is not easy to hurt yourself. Long Chen's heart moved, and he began to summon the purple Blood Cross Destroyer and the colorful Supreme Blood Cross Destroyer. He found that as expected, the two bloodlines became silky and ran more smoothly. "I'm going, all good things have caught up with me." Long Chen was surprised and delighted, and once again used the Dragon Blood Cross to destroy the gods. He found that his control power was much better than before. Time passed little by little, and when he left the customs again, Long Chen could already run for 30 minutes in one go. The Dragon Blood Cross destroyed the gods. This made Long Chen excited. The goal of the 100 times was getting closer and closer, and the stronger the control, the greater the power of the cross god. It is also fully stimulated. Long Chen estimates that compared with the first time, the power is at least 10 times different, and the gap is astonishing. Just when Long Chen was immersed in excitement, the jade card on his waist flashed, and he went out again and came to the arena. This time, there were a few more people in the spectator seat. Long Chen saw at a glance Long Chenxue, whose face was slightly pale, and several other powerhouses who possessed the dragon energy of the sky. Obviously, their complexion is not very good, although they pretend to be indifferent, but their celestial pulse fluctuations are no longer full. Long Chen knew at a glance that this must have been caused by excessive consumption to wake up the Chenkuan cauldron. They had not appeared before, but they did appear at this time. This shows that they really couldn't hold it anymore and had to take a break. When Long Chen saw their appearance, he almost didn't laugh. The feeling of this universe is too and they are almost sucked dry. However, except for a few of them, the others did not show up. Obviously, the one who couldn't hold on first was the heavenly sages of the first pulse. Those heavenly sages of the double vessels could still hold on for some time. Since they are resting, they can just show their faces, otherwise after such a long time, none of the high-level executives will show up, which is too weird, and they are also afraid of Long Chen's suspicion. In the quarterfinals, there was a line of heavenly saints, which made sense. When Long Chen appeared, Long Chenxue nodded slightly to Long Chen, and Long Chen nodded in response. In fact, this Long Chenxue is not bad, but unfortunately, whether she is good or bad, she always stands by the Long family. She is different from the high priest. She knows a lot of things, but she has never revealed it to Long Chen. This shows that in her heart, there is no right or wrong, and anyone who conflicts with the interests of the Long family is her enemy. Long Chenxue nodded to Long Chen, but the other powerhouses had sneers on their faces, obviously looking down on him, not even looking at him. Long Chen did not ignore them. After a set of procedures, the quarterfinals were opened again. However, Long Chen was surprised that in the quarterfinals, there was no fierce battle between the disciples, and some people even conceded defeat on the spot. In the 8 games, it took less than an hour to decide the outcome, and Long Chen was stunned. This time, it was the easiest time for Long Chen, and he didn't use him at all. When the competition was over, Long Chen found that the winning disciples gathered together and whispered in private. Suddenly, a flash of light flashed in Long Chen's mind. That's right. Long Chen suddenly thought that it seems that these people have planned before, because the opponents can be seen before the game, and they can find their opponents in advance. I don't know if it was a private transaction or a secret contest, so on stage, it was just a cut scene. After the quarterfinals, it will be the quarterfinals, and these 4 will face off against Long Tianrui, Zhao Qingtian, Yi Lingxiao, and Jiang Wang. There are 2 semifinals, and the second semifinal is also a showdown between the ancient powerhouses and the modern powerhouses. The modern powerhouses are also dissatisfied with the ancient powerhouses, but they do not want to expose too much in the previous games. Strength, they want to defeat these high-ranking ancient powerhouses, so this is also a means. However, Long Chen has not yet retired, and 4 people have already abstained in the semifinals, So the candidates for the top 4 have appeared, and the next time will be the duel of Gu Jinjiao. Oof, it's just a shameful trick. When the time comes, it'll let you know what a gap is and what despair is. Seeing the appearance of the top 4, Zhao Qingtian sneered, his eyes full of arrogance. In this way, it saved Long Chen a lot of time, and immediately rushed back to the cave to retreat, and the 3 days were fleeting. When Long Chen reappeared in the ring, the powerhouses of the 4 major families, except for the 4 patriarchs, were almost all there. For a time, the entire arena began to boil. The match between ancient and modern, they had been looking forward to it for too long. Chapter 50:20. When Long Chen sat in the position of the referee, someone immediately continued to read the rules and regulations according to the procedure. When the procedure was over, the moment Long Chen stood up from the referee's seat, the audience instantly boiled. The shouts, cheers, and screams will never come again, and the sound will shake the sky. It is the catharsis of blood and passion. They know that this is a strong duel between the ancient powerhouse and the modern powerhouse. The modern Tianjiao has been suppressed by the ancient Tianjiao, and even compared with the ancient Tianjiao. And those contestants are all the top powerhouses among the modern powerhouses. After the quarterfinals, some people felt that they were weaker than the other side, so they simply gave the other side their places directly. In this way, they can retain the opponent's physical strength and can hide their unique skills. They are also modern powerhouses. They hope that someone can defeat the ancient powerhouses to prove that the modern powerhouses are no worse than them. In the ancient and modern war, there are only 2 positions, and there is no family division, and they are also willing to do their part to defeat the ancient powerhouse. Long Chen stood up and opened the prelude to the war between ancient and modern. When his figure appeared on the ring, the entire arena was like a pot, and it almost exploded. Above the ring, the fog was hazy. When Long Chen's figure entered the ring, the fog gradually dispersed, and then the 2 figures slowly emerged. There are 4 arenas, each of which is covered. Unlike the previous duels, no one knows who will meet whom in this match. Therefore, everything is unknown. When 2 figures appear, the cheers grew louder. It's Long Wuyang and Zhao Qingtian. Someone exclaimed and recognized the 2. Long Wuyang, a person who used to be ranked below Long Ziwei, has average strength and is very low-key. However, he didn't expect that he stood out in this elite competition and showed his sharp edge, completely subverting the perception of him by the strong of the Long family. No one would have thought that Long Wuyang had been hiding for so many years just to show off his skills here. It can be said that he is the biggest dark horse in the entire elite competition. Long Chen looked at Long Wuyang. This man was tall and had no hair on his head. In terms of body shape and appearance, he was somewhat similar to Gu Yang. In the same way, they are all strong people with strength, holding a coiling dragon stick the thickness of an ordinary person's thigh, and their blood is extremely amazing. People stand there like an iron tower, which cannot be shaken. On the other hand, Zhao Qingtian, who is opposite him, is short in stature. Comparing the 2, Zhao Qingtian is like a child who has not grown up, but the breath of Zhao Qingtian is extremely terrifying. He did not deliberately reveal his breath, but accidentally the burst of breath distorted the space around him in a large area. He is like a bottomless volcano. No one can predict how much energy is stored in him, and no one will despise him because of his short stature. Dark horse of the Long family? Come on, don't say I didn't give you a chance. 3 moves, if you can survive all 3 moves, you will win. Zhao Qingtian looked at Long Wuyang and sneered. Obviously, he didn't take Long Wuyang in his eyes, and of course, he didn't take Long Chen as the referee in his eyes, because he didn't bother to look at Long Chen from beginning to end. In the face of Zhao Qingshan's ridicule, Long Wuyang was not angry, but nodded and said, "Then I want to thank you a lot. Then let us see how strong the ancient Tianjiao really is." Boom! After Long Wuyang finished speaking, the power of qi and blood exploded, and the destiny wheel appeared behind him, and a trace of blood-colored lines appeared on the wheel of destiny. When the blood-colored lines appeared, Long Wuyang's qi and blood burned wildly. Boom! The air waves were rolling, the turbulent wind was turbulent, Long Weiyang's breath rose rapidly, and the violent power caused the blue bricks of the arena under his feet to crack. "Oh my God," some people exclaimed that although they all knew that Long Weiyang must have hidden trump cards and retained his strength before, they did not expect that he retained so much violent power that he could crack the blue bricks on the ring. "Excuse me," Long Weiyang stopped drinking and moved his feet, only to hear a loud bang. The blue bricks on the arena were shattered into pieces, and people rushed towards Zhao Qingtian like a bolt of lightning. The coiling dragon rune on Long Weiyang coiling dragon's stick lit up, and the blood-colored lines appeared. At that moment, the breath of the coiling dragon's stick merged with him. "United people," people exclaimed again, "you must know that the weapon in Long Weiyang's hand is the heavenly sacred weapon, and it is almost impossible to integrate with it if the cultivation is not at the heavenly sage level, but Long Weiyang did it. When people and soldiers are united, then Long Weiyang can exert the greatest power of weapons, which is also the state that countless people dream of." Boom! Long Weiyang knew that this person was the arrogance of ancient times. He was unimaginably powerful. In order to fight against such a strong man, he had endured for many years. This was his dream. Opportunity, a shot, is an impeccable stick. When Long Chen saw this scene, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. He knew that Zhao Qingtian, this idiot, had misunderstood and seriously underestimated Long Weiyang's strength. Just as Long Chen had expected, Zhao Qingtian went to pretend to be coercive, and didn't even summon the vision. Now that Long Weiyang's people and sticks are united, the powerful qi machine instantly locked him. Only then did Zhao Qingtian realize that it was not good. But it was too late, and it was too late to summon the vision. Buzz, Zhao Qingnan broke down, his legs were separated, and his arms were crossed in front of him. Long Chen suddenly felt a powerful force and concentrated on the ring in an instant. Earth power. Long Chen was slightly taken aback. Before Zhao Qingtian did this move, Long Chen didn't even sense the fluctuation of the power of the earth in his body. The endless power of earth poured into Zhao Qingshan's body, and instantly formed an armor, especially on his arms and legs, covered with multiple layers of battle armor, which was extremely thick. Boom! At this moment, Long Weiyang slammed down with a stick hitting Zhao Qingshan's arms, and with a loud explosion, the entire arena trembled violently, and endless blue bricks fluttered, slamming into the barrier and swaying. Ripple! This blow was extremely terrifying, but what made people even more horrified was that Zhao Qingtian didn't move and blocked Long Weiyang's stick. Zhao Qingtian was as steady as a rock, but Long Weiyang was shocked. Took a few steps back. God, this is too scary, isn't it? You didn't even summon a vision? Is the difference really that big? Seeing this result, people were stunned, especially as a modern powerhouse, who poured too much hope into Long Weiyang, but this result made people feel cold. One went all out, and the other didn't even summon a vision. Can this be compared? However, Long Weiyang was shaken back, but he was not discouraged at all. When he took the last step, he turned around and walked with the stick. As he moved, the stick figure was heavy, and he appeared in front of Zhao Qingtian very strangely. Sweep with a stick. Pretty. This time, even Long Chen couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire arena trembled, and Zhao Qingtian was swept back by Long Weiyang amid the people's exclamations. Chapter 50:21 The explosion shook the sky, Zhao Qingtian was knocked back, and Long Weiyang was also knocked back by the opponent's power. Although he was knocked back again, he was greeted with cheers from the audience. Because at this time, Zhao Qingtian was holding a golden long-handled sword, and just now, he no longer dared to hold big and finally move the weapon. But he didn't expect that the power of Long Weiyang's blow was so powerful that it shocked him to move a few steps. At that moment, Zhao Qingtian was shocked and angry, which made him feel extremely shameless, especially the cheers. It's like mocking him. Beautiful, this Long Weiyang is brave and resourceful, and he may be able to survive 3 moves. Qin Feng couldn't help applauding in the spectator seat. How do you say it? Long Ziwei and Gui Jiu obviously couldn't understand it and asked hurriedly. They didn't know that Long Weiyang couldn't shake Zhao Qingtian with the full blow just now, but after retreating they fought back again, but they forced the other party to use weapons and were forced to retreat. They didn't understand what happened. Long Weiyang's first blow was knocked back and absorbed a lot of Zhao Qingshan's power. In the second rotation, he saved and superimposed his power, releasing the opponent's power and his own power together. Zhao Qingtian was attacked by the opponent and his own power, so he suffered a secret loss. Look. Qin Feng said hurriedly. Buzz. At this moment, Long Weiyang flew upside down and slammed into the ring barrier. The barrier was soft and he was bounced back. However, the moment he was bounced back, his speed instantly increased to the extreme, like a shooting star. Usually hit Zhao Qingtian. What? At that moment, even Long Qianxue and the others were moved by it. This Long Weiyang was too smart. He was knocked back for the second time, and absorbed the opponent's power in the same way. And with the help of the power of the enchantment, the moment he ejected himself, he instantly merged his own power, the power of the other party and the power of the enchantment, and the three were contained and unique. Long Weiyang's speed was so fast that he didn't give Zhao Qingtian time to react at all. With a stick carrying all his life force, he smashed it hard at Zhao Qingtian. Zhao Qingtian didn't expect his opponent to be so insidious. In the second move, he suffered a dark loss and used his power to deal with him, causing chaos in the power in his body. As soon as the power was calmed down, the opponent's third move came, not giving him a chance to breathe and adjust at all. Thousands of doors, Zhao Qingtian stopped drinking, and on the arena in front of him, giant gates appeared, condensing dozens of weights in one breath. Boom, boom, boom. However, in the face of Long Weiyang's blow, they were so fragile that they were penetrated in an instant. The long stick mercilessly smashed at Zhao Qingtian, and the sword in Zhao Qingshan's hand slashed violently. Boom! During the explosion, the ring collapsed into a big pit. Long Weiyang and Zhao Qingtian spurted out blood at the same time. Zhao Qingtian flew out and slammed into the ring of the ring. Seeing that Zhao Qingtian was injured, countless people exclaimed. Of course, more people cheered. Long Weiyang injured his opponent. Even if he lost in the end, it would be a great honor. Boom! Suddenly the arena trembled, and a huge roulette wheel of destiny lit up. Long Weiyang hurriedly waved his stick to block, and with a loud noise, the dragon stick was slashed open by Zhao Qingtian with a knife, and the knife slashed at his chest with tremendous force, tearing his chest apart. The dragon stick resisted, and this blow was enough to tear it to pieces. Die! Zhao Qingshan's eyes seemed to be red, and he stabbed Long Weiyang between the eyebrows with a knife. This was clearly to kill the opponent. At that moment, the strong men of the Long family exclaimed, if it was not blocked by the ring barrier, they would rush up to save people. Puff! Zhao Qingtian stabbed with a knife and the ring was penetrated, but Long Weiyang, who was lying there, disappeared. People turned to look at the edge of the ring and saw Long Chen holding a golden scepter and standing there quietly. Long Weiyang was lying beside him. This time, even Long Qianxue and the others were taken aback. Long Chen's movements were approaching, and even they couldn't see clearly. This movement was like a ghost. On the arena, Long Chen looked at Zhao Qingtian with a ferocious face, and there was a sneer at the corner of his mouth. I used to look down on you, and now I look down on you even more. I didn't know who was grinning and what was said before. If you can survive 3 moves, even if you win, what will happen? 3 strokes were beaten and vomited blood. It's fine if you don't want to admit defeat, but you're still violently killing people. I don't understand. Ancient people were so shameless, or you were the only one so shameless. Zhao Qingtian was furious. Long Chen's words were like slapping him continuously. He had talked too much before, and now there is no way to end it. Although I look down on you, you also have something I admire. How did you manage to eat your own shit without changing your face? Long Chen asked. Long Chen's words almost choked Zhao Qingtian to death. The strong people who were watching the battle also felt that Zhao Qingtian was too much and lost his demeanor. Listening to Long Chen mocking Zhao Qingtian, they were enjoying themselves again. Relief. Long Weiyang next to Long Chen climbed up with difficulty and saluted Long Chen. Thanks to the referee for your help, but if you lose, you will lose. My strength is too far from Brother Qingtian. However, I also thank Brother Qing Tian. He let me know what a real strong man is and what a gap is. I will practice harder in the future. After Long Wuyang finished speaking, he smashed the nameplate in his hand and was sent out. When Long Wuyang conceded defeat, he was greeted with cheers and applause from the audience, especially the disciples of the Long family, who were very proud. On the contrary, Zhao Qingtian, who won the game, was full of anger, but there was no place to spread it. He looked at Long Chen gloomily. "You wait for me." After Zhao Qingtian finished speaking, he left the ring without giving Long Chen a chance to speak. Damn, Long Chen didn't get used to him, he responded directly, and then he held the golden scepter and entered the next arena. Buzz, when the next arena opened, Jiang Wuwang's figure appeared, and his opponent was a contemporary strongman from the Yi family. After Jiang Wuwang saw Long Chen, he first nodded, then looked at his opponent, clasped his fist slightly, and signaled the opponent to take action. Jiang Wuwang's movements were quite satisfactory, but they were greeted with applause from the audience, because there would be no harm if there was no comparison. With Zhao Qingtian as a foil, Jiang Wuwang seemed too graceful. As a result, Jiang Wuliang's opponent made 10 moves. Jiang Wuliang was always on the defensive and never fought back. The opponent retreated and finally gave up. And the third match was Yi Lingxiao, but this guy pierced through the opponent's chest with one strike, and he shot fiercely, not giving him any chance at all. Buzz, when the fourth arena opened, Long Tianrui's figure like a fairy appeared in front of the crowd, causing the audience to cheer. Long Tianrui, that is the idol and dream lover of countless men, that is a kind of soul that comes from the depths of the heart. Worship. When Long Tianrui opened her eyes, she did not look at her opponent, but at Long Chen. She was about to speak, but Long Chen hurriedly said, "Don't talk nonsense, the competition begins." Chapter 50-22. Looking at Long Tianrui's eyes, Long Chen knew what she was going to say. It was the first time in his life that Long Chen had such a headache for a woman. The most important thing is that Long Chen didn't use enemies or friends to distinguish her, and there was no way to label her as a fool or a wise man. This guy's brain circuit is not understandable to ordinary people. Fairy Tianrui, please advise. At this time, the man opposite Long Tianrui first bowed respectfully, and then slowly took out his weapon to show respect for Long Tianrui. Long Tianrui nodded, looked at the man, did not speak, just looked at him like that. The man took a step back first, but when his weapon pointed at Long Tianrui, his body suddenly froze. At that moment, the space of the entire arena seemed to be at a standstill for a moment, and the powerhouses outside were all stunned. What's the situation? Long Tianrui clearly let him take action. Why did he not move? And Long Tianrui always looked at the man quietly. Long Chen stood on the ring, but his heart was beating wildly. At this time, the ring was shrouded in a strange atmosphere, and Long Chen was also shrouded in it. At that moment, there seemed to be thousands of Long Tianrui in the arena, looking at Long Chen from different angles. No matter what Long Chen did, the other party could see it clearly and could not hide it. Even her eyes can penetrate a person's soul, and all secrets cannot be hidden. The powerful soul force can crush people's will. Long Chen knows that this is the perception of Long Tianrui. It is the first time that Long Chen has encountered such a terrible perception. It seems that all your next actions are in her prediction, unbreakable, irresistible, and despairing. And this perception should be a kind of talent, a terrible talent. Long Chen looked at Long Tianrui, and Long Tianrui also looked at Long Chen. At that moment, the picture on the ring was almost still. However, from the trembling body of the disciple and the sweat overflowing from his forehead, it could be seen that he was struggling. However, at the beginning Long Tianrui was looking at him, he suddenly felt endless pressure, and his will almost collapsed. Later, when Long Tianrui looked at Long Chen, his pressure was instantly reduced. From that moment on, he was no longer Long Tianrui's opponent, as if he was the referee or witness. Boom! Finally, a crisp sound broke the silence on the ring, and the weapon in the man's hand could no longer be held and fell to the ground. At this time, Long Tianrui withdrew his perception, and the disciple seemed to lose his support all of a sudden, slumped to the ground, gasping for breath. Long Tianruisheng, Long Chen stopped drinking and sent the disciple out of the ring. At the same time, he also left. Long Tianrui was very strong, but he was not afraid. But Long Chen was afraid that her endless entanglement would make people crazy, so Long Chen didn't give him a chance to speak at all and ran away. After returning to his residence, Long Chen recalled Long Tianrui's terrifying perception and still felt a little shocked. It was just a talent skill, but it could be defeated without a fight, and people didn't even have the courage to take action. The most important thing is that this is just the tip of the iceberg of her strength. Under the calm surface, no one knows how much strength she hides. No wonder she is looking for a powerful child. If she finds someone with average strength, it is a pity that her talent cannot be passed on to the next generation. Long Chen suddenly understood Long Tianrui. Would you like to think about it? Ba, what are you thinking about? Long Chen was speechless for a while, and hurriedly threw away those unrealistic thoughts in his head, and took out Amethyst Tiantong to wait and see again. Long Chen suddenly discovered that the outer formation had been constructed, and the entire heavenly desolate territory was surrounded by countless arrays. Above each array, a beam of light shot straight into the sky, and Long Chen used his amethyst sky pupil to look over his head. Found that the entire heavenly desolate domain was shrouded in a cage. Hey, in order to catch me, Brahma Pill Valley really worked hard. Long Chen smiled, and he was a little proud in his heart. However, Long Chen knows that the reason why Brahma Pill Valley attaches so much importance to him is not because he killed the master of the Fire Temple, but because of Lingshao Academy. The Lord of the War God Temple has returned strongly, and Lingshao Academy is no longer in existence that Brahma Pill Valley can easily handle. Now, their eyes are on Long Chen, who is alone. If Long Chen is taken down by Brahma Pill Valley, it will be a heavy blow to Lingshao Academy, which is why it is so inspiring. Long Chen looked closer and found that in the outer area of the Long family site, there were also some figures busy, and they were building the second formation. Long Chen took a closer look. Although he didn't know much about the fighting method, he had come into contact with Xia Chen a lot after all. It could be seen that it should be a set of trapped formations. The large formation in the distance is used to shield the heavenly secrets and deceive perception, but this formation is used to besiege Long Chen. Once the formation is completed, even Shuangmai Tianxing will not be able to escape. However, Long Chen was stunned when he saw this, and then suddenly realized, emotions, these guys are not stupid. They didn't tell the Brahma Pill Valley about the Qiankuan Cauldron. They want to secretly swallow the Qiankuan Cauldron. Because if Brahma Pill Valley knew that there was a Qiankuan Cauldron here, they would not do such useless work at all. What formations were there under the sky that could block the Qiankuan Cauldron? Still not smashing a hole? When he saw the trapped formation they arranged, Long Chen immediately understood what medicines were sold in the gourds of the 4 major families. Hey, this is also good, and we will clean up together when the time comes. Long Chen smiled, his eyes full of scorching colors. The feud between Long Chen and De Brahma can be said to be inseparable. The destruction of Tianwu continent is a conspiracy, and the main messenger of this conspiracy is De Brahma. Although when the Tianwu continent was destroyed, the dragon powerhouses transferred the creatures on the Tianwu continent with their supreme supernatural powers. However, the fallen soldiers of the Dragon Blood Legion will never come back. When he thinks of those soldiers, Long Chen's heart is extremely painful. This hatred can never be eliminated. Although he can't deal with De Brahma now, kill him. It is still a good choice for believers to resolve their hatred. Senior. Long Chen began to summon Qiankuan Cauldron. Buzz. At this moment, a rune appeared in Long Chen's hand, and at the same time the voice of Qiankuan Ding came. I am at a critical moment now. You hand over this rune to Qin Feng. When the mutation occurs, I will send them away without any danger. Long Chen just wanted to ask Qiankuan Ding when he would start. He wanted Qin Feng and others to transfer first, but Qiankuan Ding seemed to have expected it long ago and gave him a rune directly. With the words of Qiankuan Cauldron, Long Chen was completely relieved. After secretly giving the runes to Qin Feng, he retreated again with peace of mind. When Long Chen exited the customs again, his dragon blood cross destroyed God, and he could already cast 8 in one breath. After 10 times, Long Chen found that the further back, the simpler it was. This was completely different from his previous expectations. It seemed that it would not take long to meet the requirements of Qiankuan Cauldron. When he left the customs and arrived at the arena that day, Long Chen found that Qin Feng and all the mercenaries were gathered together and did not spread out to sit. At that moment Long Chen understood, I am afraid today is the moment for a complete showdown. Chapter 5023, Senior. Seeing that the patriarchs of the 4 major families and all the masters were here, Long Chen tentatively called Qiankuan Cauldron. It's here, you're done with me here, you can be as presumptuous as you like. Everything has me. Qiankuan Ding responded confidently. When Long Chen heard it, he suddenly felt confident. After spending so long with Qiankuan Ding, it was the first time he heard Qiankuan Ding say such confident words. Obviously, during this period of time, its harvest was greater than his. The thought of having the Qiankuan Cauldron in his pocket, Long Chen suddenly had no worries, and the whole person became relaxed. When Long Chen sat on the referee's seat, the audience was quiet, without the cheers and shouts of the past. Because the patriarchs of the 4 gods and all the powerhouses were present, the atmosphere suddenly became serious, and everyone seemed restrained, not daring to make any sound, and even controlled their breathing, for fear that the sound would be loud. When Long Chen came to the arena, he found that the entire arena had completely changed. There was only one huge ring on the arena. And this arena looks different from all the previous arenas. It is more like an altar. Although there are many decorations on it, the strange appearance makes Long Chen a little suspicious. However, Long Chen didn't think much about it. After all, it was a duel between the 4 strongest gods, and the most powerful arena must be used. The arena is different and normal. At this stage of the game, there is no need for Long Chen, the chief referee, to preside over. In order not to affect everyone's performance, they all watched the game behind the scenes. Every game and everyone's performance was seen in their eyes and remembered in their hearts. They expressed their relief, saying that in these young people, they saw the shadow of their own years, the same blood, passion, etc. After saying a lot of routine words, the head of the Long family looked at Long Chen and said, "As the chief referee, you have suffered these days. I would like to express my gratitude to you on behalf of the 4 gods. Fortunately, the competition is coming to an end. I hope you can make persistent efforts." Long Chen didn't understand what the head of the Long family meant, as if there was something in the words, but Long Chen nodded and said, after all, he has taken so many precious medicines from the Long family. The so-called taking people's money and people to eliminate disasters is nothing to say. That's good, today's first test begins. The head of the Long family shouted loudly. Buzz, suddenly, Long Chen's figure disappeared from the arena and was directly transferred to the ring. Long Chen was slightly taken aback. What's the situation? He used to come in by himself, but this time he was passively teleported in. After entering the arena, Long Chen discovered that the arena was transformed from an ancient altar because the patterns on the floor tiles and the sacrificial totems on the pillars were known to Long Chen. My good fellow, even the blue bricks are made with the divine materials of the heavenly holy soldier. This arena is incredible. Long Chen looked at the arena, his heart skipped a beat, and even a trace of greed was born in his heart. If the arena was stolen and disassembled, a lot of immortal materials could be tossed, and the Long family was really rich. After Long Chen entered the arena, there was a heavy breathing sound on the entire viewing platform. At this time, no one was not nervous. The 4 ancient arrogances are overwhelmingly crushing today's powerhouses. Although Long Wuyang reluctantly faced off with a few tricks, everyone knows that it was because Zhao Qingtian was too careless and did not contribute at all, so Long Wuyang performed. Opportunity. And Long Wuyang also said afterwards that if Zhao Qingtian fought seriously, he would not be able to catch a single move, which shows how terrifying the ancient powerhouses were. Buzz Long Chen first entered the arena, and then on both sides of the arena, 2 figures slowly emerged, one of whom was Jiang Wang, the ancient genius of the Jiang family. On the opposite side of him, it turned out to be Long Tianrui, which made Long Chen a little surprised. Then, wouldn't Zhao Qingtian have to fight Yi Lingxiao? This level of confrontation is usually not decided by drawing lots, but by the high-level people after careful consideration. Let Long Tianrui face Jiang Wang, and Long Chen suddenly feels that something is wrong, but as for what is wrong, Long Chen again unable to speak. Jiang Wang appeared on the stage, bowed slightly to Long Tianrui and said, Fairy Tianrui has always been an idol in Wu Wang's heart, and even a dangerous peak in her heart, even in her sleep, she hopes that one day, can compete with masters like Tianrui Fairy on the same stage. It is fortunate that God has favored and made Wu Wang's wish come true in the present day, and also asks Fairy Tianrui to teach me, even though Wu Wang is defeated, there is no regret. It has to be said that Jiang Wu Wang is handsome, elegant in his movements, and shows a master demeanor between his hands and feet, which makes people feel cordial from the bottom of his heart. Especially those women, seeing this scene, their eyes are full of admiration. No one dislikes such a man. Long Tianrui said lightly, Your Excellency is polite. In the face of Jiang Wu Wang's politeness, Long Tianrui still looked cold, and it seemed that she was not interested in anyone except Long Chen. And even if she is interested in Long Chen, her face is always the same expression. That expression is no expression. Facing Long Tianrui's indifferent reply, Jiang Wu Wang felt helpless for a while. He had been preparing for today's speech for a long time. Jiang Wu Wang looked at Long Chen and said, Brother Long, I will do my best in a while. If I lose, you must remember to save me at the critical moment. Long Chen didn't expect that this Jiang Wu Wang had such a humorous side. The powerhouses present were amused when they heard Jiang Wu Wang's words. However, everyone knew that Jiang Wu Wang was just joking, and at the same time, he admired Jiang Wu Wang even more. Compared with Jiang Wu Wang, Zhao Qingtian and Yi Lingxiao are just two leopards. They don't have the demeanor and cultivation of a master. Long Chen shook his head and said, Don't, take it easy, this guy is very powerful. If one can't get it right, he may even kill me together. There are a lot of wives in my family, I don't want to die young, you still ask for yourself blessed. Long Chen's answer immediately caused people to burst into laughter. One question was funny, the other was funny, and the tense atmosphere was reduced a lot in an instant. In the face of Long Chen's ridicule, Long Tianrui was not angry, but said earnestly, If you promise to consider me, I can listen to you in everything. Here we go again. Long Chen was speechless for a while. Brother admits that I am a face value control, and also admits that you are very beautiful, but a person only has one expression in his life. Is this too scary? Brother can't take it. Then, can we start? Long Chen didn't want to continue to entangle on this topic. The golden scepter in his hand could no longer control the arena, so he could only remind him like this. Please enlighten me. Hearing this, Jiang Wang took a half step back, and a vast breath rose up. At that moment, the audience was silent, quietly waiting for the decisive battle of the ancient Tianjiao. Chapter 50-24 Jiang Wang took a half step back, turned slightly sideways, stretched out his hand forward, one palm in the air, and looked at the opponent. In fact, no matter in ancient times or in modern times, people with better tutors paid great attention to etiquette in their discussions. Because learning from each other is a ladder for verifying strength and rapid progress, and respecting your opponent as a teacher, you can find more shining points in your opponent and use the opponent's strengths to see your own shortcomings. Through actual combat and common improvement, this is the real purpose of learning from each other, but in modern times, there has been a deviation in cognition. When you arrive in the ring, there is only one purpose, that is, to beat your opponent to the ground, and you can't wait to step on the opponent's body and cheer in order to show your strength. Looking at the entire competition, it seems that there are no more than 10 people who can respect their opponents. I don't know when it started, and the competition has become a ruthless fight, and it has become a playground for trampling on the dignity and honor of others. And now Jiang Wu Wang's posture has caused countless people's contemplation. The four major families are originally friendly matches. If it is not for the purpose of mutual confirmation and common improvement, is this kind of event really meaningful? If it was a real fight, it would be fine. You gain experience and insight in the face of life and death, but killing is not allowed in the arena. One by one, the disciples became very angry after taking the stage, and they fought like hooligans. Compared with Wu Huang, the difference between being a human being is too great. Jiang Wang made a single action, and he gained the worship of countless strong people, and they began to redefine the strong. Long Tianrui also put on a stance. The jade hand volleyed into the air, the jade arm was slightly curved, and the movement was chic and elegant. If it was not in the arena, it would look like a kind of dance starting style, which looked pleasing to the eye. "Excuse me," Jiang Wang let out a low drink, his figure swayed, and at the moment when he swayed, countless figures surged, forming thousands of Jiang Wang, rushing towards Long Tianrui at the same time. Above those figures, the water vapor rises like a dream, and it doesn't look so real, but above each figure, there is a powerful fluctuation of destiny. Is this a physical clone, or a shadow clone? Some people exclaimed, whether it is a physical avatar or a shadow avatar. Among the strong players in the field, 9 out of 10 have used it. It can be said that everyone is very familiar with this trick, but they can't tell the difference. What type of doppelganger is this? In the face of Jiang Wang's attack, Long Tianrui didn't move, the jade hand pushed forward, she ignored the other figures, and a jade hand seemed to pat one of them at will. Boom! Jiang Wang's palm collided with Long Tianrui's jade hand, and with a loud bang, the figure in the sky disappeared. People were just about to confirm that Jiang Wang's move was a shadow clone. As a result, those figures appeared in a row behind him. The moment Long Tianrui's hand struck out, the first Jiang Wang shook slightly, and then the second Jiang Wang fell backwards. The moment he left, he passed his power to the third person. Boom! When the power was passed on to the last person, that person flew upside down and slammed into the ring barrier. With a loud bang, the figure burst into pieces and turned into a rain of blood. What? People exclaimed, this is not a shadow clone, but an entity clone. But physical clones, generally a person can only condense a few, at most dozens, and if there are more, it will not be able to support. Because the cost of cultivating a physical clone is huge, and many people's physical clones are just avatars for death. The main reason is that cultivating a powerful clone of the entity requires a lot of resources and requires countless efforts. And once the avatar is cultivated, if he does not continue to cultivate, his strength will not be able to keep up with the deity, and he will be left far behind. If a strong person is already at the heavenly saint level, if his clone is still in the realm of God Venerable, then such clone will be meaningless. Therefore, most people who condense their clones usually only cultivate 1 to 1. 2, no more, and I can't afford it. However, Jiang Wang has cultivated thousands of clones. The most terrifying thing is that each clone is blessed with the power of destiny. This shows that the strength of these clones is not very different from his, which is a bit scary. Jiang Wang's clone was scary, but Long Tianrui's blow was equally frightening, and it blew up one of Jiang Wang's clones. And that avatar slammed into the ring barrier, and the violent tremor caused even the entire viewing platform to tremble. It can be seen how terrifying the avatar has endured. You must know that the stronger the arena, the greater the force it can withstand and offset. If it is used in the previous arena, this blow is likely to break down the arena enchantment. At this time, neither Long Tianrui nor Jiang Wang had shown their true strength, not even the roulette of destiny. Just when people were shocked, the shock turned sharp. At the same time that the last Jiang Wang in the row flew out, he suddenly pushed the person in front of him, and the second to last Jiang Wang continued to lunge forward. A moment of inversion. When he saw this scene, Long Chen was also taken aback. This Jiang Wang looked soft and weak, but he was a ruthless character. He deliberately sacrificed a clone to retransmit Long Tianrui's power. At the same time, the power of all clones was superimposed on the basis of this power. In fact, these clones of Jiang Wang were not used to fight the enemy alone, but to arrange the formation. The power of 1,000 people gathered together, and it made the scalp tingle just thinking about it. Long Tianrui also saw the clue at this time, but she didn't panic. A rune lit up on the back of the jade hand, and at this time, the power of the back tide just arrived. Boom, with an explosion, the arena was shaken violently, and Long Tianrui was shaken back a few steps. In her eyes, brilliance came over and over again. Obviously, Jiang Wuang's blow was somewhat unexpected to her. Jiang Wuang was also shaken back, and all the clones behind him were scattered. However, most of the anti-shock force was shared by Jiang Wuang's clones, and Jiang Wuang showed no signs of injury. After one move, Jiang Wuang's hands formed a seal, and at the same time all the clones behind him formed a seal with them. When Jiang Wuang's palms were closed and separated again, the 10 fingers were facing each other, leaving a space in the middle. This space is aligned with each other. Long Tianrui, be careful, destiny wears clouds. Jiang Wuang stopped drinking, and all the clones behind him suddenly gathered together to form a triangular formation, and each person's palm pressed against the back of the previous person. Immediately behind them, a huge destiny roulette lit up, and the destiny roulette was superimposed on all the clones. This scene caused countless people to exclaim. You must know that if the Son of Destiny wants to summon the destiny roulette, it must go through a charging process, and there must be a guiding process, but Jiang Wuang actually summoned it directly through the formation. Buzz, a divine light shot out from Jiang Wuang's palm. It was a sharp sword with endless power of destiny, stabbing Long Tianrui in the distance. This blow came so suddenly, who would have thought that it was just a test? Jiang Wuang suddenly broke out and struck with all his strength, which was a bit sinister, because at this time Long Tianrui had no time to summon anomaly. However, just when the sword of destiny stabbed in front of Long Tianrui opened his hand. Snapped, in the horrified eyes of countless people, the sword of destiny was grabbed by Long Tianrui. What? Chapter 50-25. When he saw Long Tianrui's hand, Long Chen was also taken aback. The original snow-white palm turned into a color, and the 7 colors flowed, and the supreme energy rose. It was clearly the 7 colors supreme blood, and it was the first time that Long Chen saw the 7 colors supreme blood on someone other than his father. When the 7-colored supreme blood condensed on Long Tianrui's jade hand, at that moment, her breath changed, from being holy and demure to instantly becoming domineering and unparalleled, as if possessed by the god of war, and even her eyes became sharp as a knife. Boom! With a loud bang, the sword of destiny was crushed by Long Tianrui's jade hand. At that moment, the audience was stunned, especially the children of destiny. They all knew how terrifying Jiang Wuang's blow was. After Long Tianrui squeezed the sword of destiny in his hand, the color on his hand slowly disappeared, and his hand returned to a jade-white appearance again. Long Tianrui looked at Jiang Wuang and said, "Have you taken back half of your power? Are you looking down on me? Or have you given up? As I said, in the same rank, as long as whoever can defeat me, I will marry whoever. This promise will never change, no matter what method or means you use, whether it is conspiracy or conspiracy, you can do it." Only then did everyone understand that Jiang Wuang's attack was actually merciful, but thinking about it, Jiang Wuang's attack obviously had the flavor of conspiracy. Afraid of hurting Long Tianrui, he withdrew some of his strength. Unexpectedly, Long Tianrui waved his hand to break this terrifying blow, that is to say, even if Jiang Wuang strikes with all his strength, he will still not be able to hurt Long Tianrui. It's really disrespectful, my move is not very honorable, but when I think that if I can win Fairy Tianrui with 1.5 moves at the smallest price, I can't care so much. But I didn't expect that the fairy is so powerful. Since this is the case, in order to get this opportunity, I will no longer keep my hand, otherwise it will be the greatest disrespect to the fairy. Jiang Wuang said. Buzz, after speaking, Jiang Wuang had a very strange weapon in his hand. It looked like a short sword, but there were 2 smaller short swords on both sides. The long sword is 3 feet long, while the 2 short swords are only 7 inches long. If the hilt is replaced by a gun, it looks like a strange fork. Jiang Wuang looked at the weapon in his hand and said, "Gloomy soul-dividing water spike, my natal weapon. When I was born, my soul merged with it. Only when I use it is my strongest state, and I also ask Fairy Tianrui to enlighten me." Gloomy soul divide spun lace? Why isn't the Jiang family's Tianyu divide spun lace? Long Tianrui asked in confusion. Jiang Wang said, "My father said that if a person wants to be strong, he can't rely on too much, otherwise, the day one loses one's support is the day one falls. What others can give me is, after all, what others belong to, and only what I get through my own efforts can truly belong to me." Long Tianrui nodded and said, "Your father is a visionary." Jiang Wang said, "Thank you, I don't know what weapon Tianrui fairy uses." Buzz, with a wave of Long Tianrui's hand, a colorful long sword appeared in his hand. 7 swords. Long Chen's heart was shocked, and sure enough, Long Tianrui, who also has the colorful supreme blood, can also condense the 7 absolute swords. Different from the Qijue sword condensed by Long Chen, her Qijue sword has strange runes intertwined back and forth, forming a unique pattern. Her Qijue sword is more solid and terrifying. Long Chen knows that this has nothing to do with the purity of the bloodline, there must be other secret techniques in it. His Qijue sword was passed on to him by Long Zhantian, and Long Zanshan's Qijue sword technique is not inherited, but realized by himself. But Long Tianrui is different. She is an ancient powerhouse and has inherited many magical powers. What she has learned is definitely not comparable to him and Long Zhantian. To put it bluntly, people learned in temples, while Long Zhantian groped in the dark alone. The gap between them is very large. However, thinking about his father's magical powers, most of which are self-created, this has already made Long Chen admire his 5 bodies. According to his evaluation, Long Zhantian is enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with the emperor. Dang dang dang. Suddenly, a loud crash brought Long Chen back to reality from his memory. He saw the wheel of destiny spinning behind Jiang Wang. All the clones disappeared, but there were thousands of cyclones. Those cyclones circulated, and the radiance of the gods fell, forming a formation, blessing on his body, and the water thorns in his hands fell, and the water vapor filled the sky. The water vapor permeated the entire arena. It was obviously water vapor. The entire arena seemed to be filled with mercury, which made it difficult to move. Even the ring formation was slowly expanding outward. Jiang Wang's speed was as fast as lightning, the destiny roulette behind his back showed signs of slowly burning, and the water thorn in his hand became more and more fierce. But no matter how fierce Jiang Wang's attack was, Long Tianrui's long sword fluttered and he did not retreat a step, catching all of Jiang Wang's tricks. In the flow of the colorful radiance, Long Chen saw the water vapor emitted by Jiang Wang, and could not penetrate into the colorful radiance at all. Long Chen knew that this was actually a collision of the power of blood. In terms of the power of the source, Jiang Wang's bloodline power could not suppress Long Tianrui. Jiang Wang also saw this. His movements kept changing, his tactics became more and more bizarre, and his attacks became more and more severe. It has to be said that Jiang Wang is a real powerhouse, with very rich combat experience, and his tactics are like flowing clouds and flowing water. However, no matter how he attacked or changed his rhythm, Long Tianrui was like a fairy, sometimes fluttering like a giant, sometimes like a dragon, and he always took the defensive, but he didn't lose the slightest. When, suddenly there was a loud noise, the stormy attack stopped. Jiang Wang retreated, he stood above the void, looked at Long Tianrui and said, "Fairy Tianrui is detached, and Wang knows that she is not an opponent. However, Wang is unwilling, and please ask the fairy to take my last move. If Wang still loses, I will be convinced." At that moment, Jiang Wang's expression became serious. Obviously, after continuous onslaught, he already knew the gap between them. He has already attacked with all his strength, but others have swayed it with ease. In fact, he has already lost, but if he admits defeat like this, he is unwilling, and the feng shui in his hand pierces the sky, and the thousands of cyclones behind him suddenly stop turning, slowly pouring into the long sword among. What? When seeing this scene, the strong people present were all surprised. You must know that the cyclone is his physical clone. He is injecting all the power of the clone into this move, then his physical clone, will it all disappear? Wouldn't the years of practice be destroyed in that way? Is it really worth it? thousands of lonely flying, Jiang Wang looked at Long Tianrui, slammed the water, slashed down, and a piercing sonic boom sounded. The barrier of the arena was torn apart by his blow. When he saw this scene, even the patriarchs of the four great gods' faces changed. Chapter 50:26 The enchantment on the dome of the ring was slashed by the blade of the water thorn, forming a long white mark. When they saw this white mark, people exclaimed, "This is the top arena of the Long family, and it is also the most powerful arena." If it was the previous arena, Jiang Wang's blow could directly penetrate the barrier, split the arena in two, and even split the entire viewing seat. Seeing Jiang Wang slashing, Long Tianrui's Qijue's sword pointed to the sky, and then a flying rainbow appeared behind her, like a huge rainbow ribbon flying. At that moment, Long Chen discovered that Long Tianrui's qi and blood fluctuated and exploded in an instant, and the rune on the long sword was instantly ignited. The 7 destruction slashes, Long Tianrui shouted, and the long sword in his hand fell. There was no divine light in the sky, no tearing space, not even a howling wind. But this blow was even more terrifying in Long Chen's eyes. Long Tianrui concentrated all his power on the long sword, and there was no unnecessary waste. Even Long Chen's control of the most gentle purple blood power cannot achieve her level of control. It can be said that her control has reached a certain extreme. Boom! With a loud bang, Long Tianrui's Qijue's sword and Jiang Wang's water-splitting slash were slashed together. One was a divine weapon made of immortal gold, and the other was a divine power sword condensed with blood essence, but it issued a golden iron cross. The sound of chirping. Long Tianrui and Jiang Wang retreated at the same time, and the enchantment of the entire arena began to shake and deform frantically, as if it were about to shatter at any time. Fortunately, the arena was strong enough to quickly regain its calm, because the damage they caused was quickly repaired. Click! In the ring, there was a crisp sound. The sound was not loud, but in the ring where the needles could be heard, it was so harsh. Boom! In the horrified eyes of people, the water thorn in Jiang Wang's hand broke apart, and part of it fell to the ground. People's hearts are beating wildly. The magic weapon made of immortal gold is actually no match for Long Tianrui's bloodline magic power. They are also ancient Tianjiao. Is the gap really that big? The most terrifying thing is that Long Tianrui did not reveal the destiny roulette from beginning to end. That is to say, Jiang Wang's last move did not force Long Tianrui's true strength. In the confrontation between ancient and modern, people saw the dimensional gap between the modern Tianjiao and the ancient Tianjiao, which was shocking enough. However, the gap between Jiang Wang and Long Tianrui, who are both ancient powerhouses, is actually so huge, which completely shocked everyone. I lost, I am convinced. Jiang Wang looked at the water thorn in his hand. After a long time, he sighed and picked up the half-cut sword on the ground. Long Tianrui shook his head and said, "No, you shouldn't be convinced. If your weapon is replaced by Tianyufan's spun lace, the result will be completely different. This spun lace can only withstand the power of your clone, but it cannot fully withstand the power of the destiny roulette. If you use the spun lace, if the two are combined, the power of this blow will be 10 times greater. I absolutely can't catch it with the 7 absolute sword." Jiang Wang shook his head and said, "The same, I have some reservations, but you have more reservations. Your skills are not as good as others, but your skills are not as good as others. You should reflect on yourself instead of making excuses for your failures." After Jiang Wang finished speaking, he bowed to Long Tianrui, then clenched his fists to Long Chen, crushed the nameplate and sent it out. With a wave of the golden scepter in Long Chen's hand, he wanted to send it out, but found that it had failed. At this time, Long Tianrui looked at Long Chen and said, "This destruction Qijue's slash is just one of the many magical powers of Qicai's supreme blood, if you wish." "Thank you, I don't want to." Long Chen hurriedly waved his hand. "I have a cross to destroy God. You can't use this trick to seduce me. Brother is not that kind of person." Buzz. At this time, the arena trembled, and both Long Chen and Long Tianrui were sent out. At this time, the head of the Long family announced that Long Tianrui had won. The next game is a duel between Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian, but according to the rules, Long Chen needs to be given an hour of rest. At this time, a large number of strong people appeared and began to surround the arena. Long Chen saw countless arrays and were reinforced on the arena. At that moment, Long Chen's eyes narrowed. He felt something was wrong. Long Chen said to Qiankuan Cauldron, "Senior, what are they doing?" Qiankuan Ding replied, "Build a slaughterhouse." Long Chen, "Something is wrong. I will release the power of blood now, and let you escape." Suddenly, Long Chen received a voice transmission from Lord Tianxi. Hearing Lord Tianxi's voice transmission, Long Chen was filled with emotion. Lord Tianxi really deserved to be respected by the dragon family. Although his strength is only at the Earth Saint level, the Heavenly Saint level powerhouse does not dare to offend him, and even the Patriarch must avoid him by 3 points. Because his cultivation method is different, he has been suppressing his cultivation for countless years. The longer he suppresses it and releases it, the faster his cultivation will improve. Because Lord Tianxi is gifted, he is the only one in the entire Long family who can practice this technique. Moreover, Lord Tianxi has been practicing for hundreds of years and has never reached the bottleneck. According to the Long family, if Lord Tianxi has infinite potential, next time he can't be suppressed, he can be promoted to Tianxing to ease the impact. After being promoted to the Heavenly Sage, he will be relieved for another 100 years, and when he cannot be suppressed, he will release his power, and he may break through to the strength of the 4-meridian Heavenly Sage in an instant. Therefore, the older generation of the strong dragon family knows this, so they are extremely respectful to him, while the younger generation respects Lord Tianxi because of his selfless and upright attitude. These are all what Long Chen heard from Qiankuan Cauldron. If Lord Tianxi has released his power now, it will be equivalent to ruining his future. Therefore, Long Chen is more and more moved. An honest and selfless person, when will he? All are worthy of respect. Thank you, Lord Tianxi. I don't need you to take action. I just need you to be a fair spectator. I just need not to fight with you. I, Long Chen, have no fear of anyone. Long Chen said. Hearing what Long Chen said, Lord Tianxi in the crowd was even more uneasy. In fact, he didn't want something to happen to Long Chen, and of course he didn't want something to happen to the Long family. But during this period of time, although the 4 patriarchs deliberately concealed something from him, he also sensed something was wrong. Now that there are so many formations in the arena, it is obviously not a good thing. If he breaks through now, with the strength he has accumulated over the years, he has a 60% certainty to rush out with Long Chen. However, he needs to take advantage of the situation when everyone is not prepared. When they are prepared, he is even 30% sure. There is none left. In the entire Long family, he valued the potential of the Long Chen father and son the most, but he could only watch the Long family push the Long Chen father and son away step by step, but he could only be anxious. Buzz, an hour later, the arena suddenly lit up and Long Chen's body was involuntarily transported into the arena. Buzzing. Then a terrifying scene appeared. The enchantment of the arena was repeatedly superimposed, and as many as 100 paths were superimposed in an instant. When seeing this scene, a smile appeared on Long Chen's face, and at this moment, a cold voice came. When death is imminent, you can still laugh. You are really stupid. Chapter 50-27. The arena was opened, and the 100 paths barrier was blessed, which made everyone see the difference, because from the start of the competition to now, even in the battle between Long Tianrui and Jiang Wang, there was only one barrier. Now in the arena, hundreds of enchantments are rapidly superimposing, and the arena at this time is not like an arena, but more like a cage. At that moment, Long Tianrui's face changed. She looked at the head of the Long family with cold eyes, but the head of the Long family did not dare to look into her eyes, and turned her head. Lord Tianxi also had a gloomy face. Now, everything is too obvious. Obviously, the Long family has a showdown, or in other words, the 4 gods have a showdown, and they will not let Long Chen leave here alive today. Jiang Wang, who had just returned to the viewing seat, also had a dull expression on his face, but Feng Fei let out a sigh after a brief shock. What's the situation? Jiang Wang asked through voice transmission. Feng Fei said, "Things are going in the worst direction, Wang. Do you still remember what I said?" Jiang Wang's body trembled. He remembered that Feng Fei had asked him before whether he was loyal to the patriarch or the family, and now he understood. But Feng Fei shook her head and said, "No, but there are too many people in this world who want to kill Long Chen, but Long Chen can still live well, and those who want to kill him will not end well. I don't worship Long Chen blindly. If you can see his growth with your own eyes, I believe you will make the same choice as me. Isn't Long Tianrui terrible? Of course, she is the most terrifying powerhouse I've ever seen." When it came to Long Tianrui, Jiang Wang's heart was still full of shock. Facing Long Tianrui, he seemed to be facing the mountains and the sea. His power seemed so insignificant, and the two were not at the same level. I can put my words here. I dare not say that Long Chen must be stronger than Long Tianrui, but he must not be worse than Long Tianrui. Feng Fei said. Really so strong? Jiang Wang looked in disbelief. If Long Chen dies here today, then it's all over. If Long Chen escapes and kills him decisively and bloody, do you think about the consequences? Can the Jiang family stand up to him? Feng Fei said with a serious face. Jiang Wang is smart. If Long Chen is really like what Feng Fei said, he is a level of Long Tianrui? No, even if it is one level worse than Long Tianrui, it would be a disaster for the Jiang family. You must know that everyone has reached the peak of God Venerable at this time. It only needs an opportunity to break through to the immortal realm. At that time, the Jiang family will have no one who can resist Long Chen, and only have to be slaughtered. Although the Jiang family also has an ancestor, Long Chen made a sneak attack alone, and before the ancestor appeared, the Jiang family would be gone. Even if the ancestors can come out to protect the Jiang family in advance, but the Jiang family has a great business, how can it be protected? Unless the disciples of the Jiang family do not go out, they will be killed if they go out. Thinking about it at this time, Long Chen also has a huge dragon blood army, and Qin Feng, an ordinary dragon blood warrior, has such a terrifying lethality, and his ruthless appearance makes him hairy. A pack of warriors like wolves stared, never to sleep again. But why did they kill Long Chen? Especially the Long family, is the head broken? Jiang Wang looked puzzled. Feng Fei shook her head and said, "Who knows this?" "Then what should we do?" Jiang Wang said. "Long Chen has clear grievances and grievances. He will not put hatred on our heads, but he may spread his anger on the Jiang family. If we want to protect the Jiang family, we must find a way to sell Long Chen a favor and help him at a critical moment." Feng Fei said, "How to help? He is trapped in so many formations, let alone me, even our ancestors may not be able to save him." Jiang Wang said helplessly, "If Long Chen dies inside, there is no need to say anything, but with my understanding of Long Chen, this formation may not be able to trap him. And didn't you find it? Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian are also inside. These two idiots should go to kill Long Chen. You can watch the show in a while." Feng Fei said, "You mean Long Chen will take them as hostages?" Jiang Wang said, "I don't know, I guess he will do that. In that case, the Zhao family and the Yi family have to release Long Chen. At that time, Long Chen will have a chance to escape. If we really get to that point, it's time for us to take action. Are you ready to disobey the patriarch?" Feng Fei looked at Jiang Wang and said. Jiang Wang hesitated for a while, and finally gritted his teeth. "If you really get to that point, they'll just listen to you. Even if you go against the wishes of the patriarch, you will at most be punished. But if you offend Long Chen, the Jiang family will be really in danger, and the two will harm the lesser." Feng Fei nodded slightly. She did not see the wrong person. Jiang Wang was indeed a courageous person. Feng Fei suddenly stopped communicating with Jiang Wang, looked at the ring and said, "Yi Lingxiao has spoken." At this time, Long Chen was standing in the middle of the arena, and the figures of Zhao Qingtian and Yi Lingxiao appeared on both sides at the same time. The two looked at Long Chen, and their eyes were full of ruthless colors, especially Yi Lingxiao, who looked at Long Chen. Dust seemed to look at a dead man. "Wait, what did you say? Death is imminent? It's stupid enough, is it me?" Long Chen held a golden scepter and pointed at his nose with some doubts. Haha. Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian laughed, as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world, and Long Chen also had a smile on his face, looking at them without speaking. You are really an idiot. You have killed so many people in the Long family. The head of the Long family doesn't have the same knowledge as you, but the four gods have the same spirit. Now that our Yi, Zhao, and Jiang families have come to the Long family, how can you allow you to be presumptuous? After the parliaments of the four major alliances unanimously voted and decided to sentence you to death, do you understand this time? Yi Lingxiao laughed arrogantly. Long Chen was stunned. No, it's not logical. Aren't they afraid of me telling the story of Chen Kuanding? They are already prepared. Once you mention me, they will cut off the voice of the enchantment. Everything here is controlled by them. Chen Kuanding explained to Long Chen. Long Chen understood, but after understanding, the smile on Long Chen's face became stronger. I killed a lot of people in the Long family. You say that, I think this reason is reasonable. But I want to ask, since you want to kill me, you need an executioner who will execute it. Wouldn't it be you too, trash? Long Chen pointed at Zhao Qingtian and Yi Lingxiao with his hands respectively. The faces of the powerhouses present at this time, whether they were the disciples or those mercenaries, changed, and they all looked at the patriarch's seat in disbelief. The accident happened too fast. Long Ziwei looked at Qin Feng. Qin Feng. Watch it quietly. The boss can handle it. Qin Feng said indifferently. At this moment, Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian were already walking towards Long Chen in the arena. Chapter 50-28 Long Chen stood in the middle of the ring, still holding a golden scepter. Unfortunately, now he is no longer a distinguished chief referee, but a prisoner in a cage. However, in the cage, Long Chen did not panic at all. Even if Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian, two peerless powerhouses, came from both sides, he still looked calm. Even Long Chen didn't even look at the two of them, but looked at the head of the Long family through the many barriers on the ring. Long Chen said lightly, "Are you sure you want to do this to me?" The head of the Long family dodged his eyes, and he didn't dare to look at Long Chen. For some reason, when he saw Long Chen, he was a little uneasy, and always felt that something bad would happen. Long Chenxue, who was next to the head of the Long family, also looked extremely ugly at this time. She didn't understand the decision of the head of the Long family until now. She couldn't accept it. After all, Long Chen was a disciple of the Long family. However, she clearly knew that this was a wrong choice, but in the face of the family's interests, she could only stand on the side of the family. This was her mission, and it had nothing to do with right or wrong. Long Chen, you are rebellious, and if you commit the following crimes, you should die. The patriarch is kind and has always tolerated you and couldn't bear to kill you. But if you act so recklessly, it is not only the rules of the Long family that have been broken, but also intolerable by the four major alliances. After the ruling of the four patriarchs, it was unanimously decided to put you to death. It can be seen how evil you are. You still have the face to question the patriarch? Long Qihua next to the head of the Long family sneered. That's right, Long Chen, you bastard, you should have died a long time ago. It is a great grace for you to let you live until now. Long Yaoting also scolded him, and he didn't know where Long Chen offended him. Now, he seems to want Long Chen to die as soon as possible. You turned your face so soon? It seems that you have already made arrangements. Since you want to play, I will play with you. Long Chen showed a cynical smile, then shook his head and started active muscles. He has already figured it out. This place has been completely controlled, not even a mosquito can fly out, and don't want to bring out any secrets. Afterwards, they can seal or tamper with everyone's memory, and in this way, everything will be solved. Long Chen estimates that they still have several plans, but they may not have imagined that Long Chen would be so easy to be tricked and enter the arena directly. Long Chen began to move his muscles and bones, while Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian snorted coldly, looked at each other at the same time, and said almost simultaneously, "How to say? Let's draw lots." Obviously, they all want to kill Long Chen with their own hands, especially Zhao Qingtian, who has long hated Long Chen, and he will never give Long Chen to the other party. And the other party is the same. The reason why Yi Lingxiao wanted to kill Long Chen was entirely out of jealousy. Of course, this jealousy came from Long Tianru. Long Chen ignored their movements, twisted his waist, shook his arms, twisted his neck, and the bones all over his body creaked. Seeing this scene, Qin Feng on the viewing platform couldn't help clenching his fists. His body trembled uncontrollably. Long Ziwei and Wu Jiao were frightened by his actions. They thought Qin Feng was nervous. Qin Feng said to them, "You are so lucky, the boss is starting to be serious, that is to say, a world-shattering war is about to start, don't blink your eyes." Buzz, at this moment, Yi Lingxiao and Zhao Qingtian in the arena drew lots. Zhao Qingtian had bad luck and lost to Yi Lingxiao, and his face darkened at that time. 10 moves, after 10 moves, change people. No problem, but I don't think you have a chance, because he is in my hands and can't last 10 moves. Yi Lingxiao sneered. After that, Yi Lingxiao walked towards Long Chen, and Long Chen turned his back to them at this time, bending his knees and kicking his legs, and changing his left foot to his right, as if he didn't know that the danger was approaching. "Stupid die!" Seeing Long Chen's appearance, Yi Lingxiao sneered, suddenly disappeared in place, and suddenly appeared beside Long Chen. Snapped! There was an explosion, and while people were still terrified by Yi Lingxiao's shape-shifting technique, Yi Lingxiao had already flown out like a shooting star. What? At that moment, countless people stood up from the stands. Everything happened so fast that they couldn't see what happened. Boom! Yi Lingxiao hit the barrier, bounced back, and rolled on the ground several times before he stabilized his body. When he stood up, people could clearly see that a deep expression appeared on his face. 5 fingerprints. On the other side, Long Chen continued to sit and warm up like a normal person, as if what happened just now had nothing to do with him. At that moment, the 4 patriarchs and the heavenly saints were also stunned. Long Chen's speed was too fast, and they could only capture the afterimage when Long Chen waved his palm, but they couldn't see the middle leaf of Long Chen's shot. Ling Xiao's moment. At that moment, there was an uproar in the audience. What most people saw was Yi Lingxiao disappearing in situ, and then collided with the barrier, with a fingerprint on his face. Because of their strength, they didn't see Yi Lingxiao appearing next to Long Chen at all. They were all stunned. They looked at the other powerhouses and found that the other powerhouses were also confused, although everyone was confused. The same, but the expression is the same. Zhao Qingtian in the ring was also taken aback, but he didn't take it to heart. Seeing that Yi Lingxiao suffered a big loss, he instead gloated, "One move." Yi Lingxiao was stunned, his whole head was dizzy, and his face was burning with pain. After a while, he recovered. Listening to Zhao Qingshan's countdown, at that moment, his killing intent was skyrocketing. "Damn bastard, take your life!" Yi Lingxiao roared. Choke! The long sword was unsheathed, the entire arena trembled, and the divine light was like electricity, cutting through the void and heading straight for Long Chen. Lingfeng sword. When he saw the long sword, Jiang Wang exclaimed, it was the treasure of the Yi family, and looking at the rune on it, the seal was still lifted. The 4 major gods have their own inheritance magic weapon, and each family has more than one, but it is not easy to use for the disciples, because the inheritance magic weapon is injected with the blood power of the ancestors, and one of them will hurt. User, extremely dangerous. Therefore, even if there are disciples using this kind of inheritance magic weapon, the magic weapon is covered with seals, so that it is safe. However, the Lingfeng sword in Yi Lingxiao's hand has lifted the seal. The power of this sword will far exceed his imagination. Yi Lingxiao slashed with a sword, and Long Chen finally finished his warm-up, turned around slowly, and blocked Yi Lingxiao's Lingfeng sword with the golden scepter in his hand. Boom! With a loud bang, the golden light was 10,000 feet wide, and the golden scepter in Long Chen's hand instantly turned into dust, and was smashed by Yi Lingxiao's sword. In the exclamations of people, they thought that Long Chen would suffer a big loss, and even be hit hard by a sword. Snapped! With a crisp sound, another person flew out. Chapter 5029, Snapped. In the golden light, a figure flew out in embarrassment and slammed into the barrier in the distance. Boom! When the explosion sounded, the figure was bounced off by the barrier and rolled on the ground several times before stopping. When people saw the figure clearly, they couldn't help but exclaim. That person was none other than Yi Lingxiao holding the Lingfeng sword. At this moment, a palm print appeared on the other side of his face. At that moment, everyone was stunned. They looked at Long Chen in disbelief. At this time, the golden scepter in Long Chen's hand had disappeared, so he stood with his hands behind his back, standing in the middle of the ring, looking at Yi Lingxiao lightly, his eyes full of sarcasm. Long Chen turned to look at the 4 patriarchs in the stands. What are you thinking about? Send these 2 wastes to kill me? Are you trying to kill them with my hands? If it is said that the previous blow, everyone did not see clearly, but this blow, everyone can see clearly. Long Chen held a golden scepter in one hand and resisted Lingfeng's sword. Although Lingfengjian smashed the golden scepter, the power of the golden scepter also blocked all attacks of Lingfengjian. At the same time, Long Chen's other hand waved lightly. This time everyone understood. Yes, just a light wave. It seemed that it didn't take much effort. Yi Lingxiao flew out. The faces of the 4 patriarchs changed, especially the Yi family patriarch, who roared at the ring. Don't play, hurry up and show your real strength. This is not a child's play, this is the real killing battlefield. The head of the Yi family knew Yi Lingxiao's personality. He not only wanted to kill Long Chen, but also wanted to humiliate Long Chen before he died, so he didn't use all his strength at the beginning. Yi Lingxiao also wanted to imitate Long Tianrui. With only a part of his strength, he could defeat the opponent and let the opponent know what the gap is and what despair is. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong object. Long Chen's 2 slaps told him that what is ideal is very plump and reality is very skinny. These 2 slaps are Yi Lingxiao's first experience in his life. Second move, however, at this time, Zhao Qingtian did not forget the countdown. Boom. I don't know if it was the reminder from the head of the Yi family that worked, or whether it was Zhao Qingshan's countdown that angered him, or the killing intent in his heart broke out. Out, like a volcanic eruption. Boom. Yi Lingxiao screamed in the sky, his long hair fluttered, his breath was rising rapidly, and the violent air waves swept the entire arena. Even across 100 barriers, people could still feel the surging power. Yi Lingxiao is angry. He has never suffered such humiliation in his life. His breath is released without reservation, and now he just wants to tear Long Chen into powder. Destiny kill, Yi Lingxiao roared, stepping on the ground. People rolled out like a bolt of lightning, and the swords were united, like purple electricity piercing the clouds, carrying endless aura of destiny, killing Long Chen. That's it. Long Chen snorted coldly, opened his big hand. A thunder blade appeared in his hand, waved his big hand, and slashed down without any fancy movements. Boom! With a bang, the thunder blade in Long Chen's hand shattered, and Yi Lingxiao was also knocked flying by Long Chen's blow, hitting the barrier again, and then rebounding, rolling, and climbing up, his expression stunned and then angry. Yi Lingxiao attacked 3 times and was knocked flying 3 times. The angles and landing points of the flying out were almost the same, and everything after he got up was exactly the same 3 times. Can't speak. They have seen countless powerful battles, but they have never seen such a bizarre battle. Let's just say that it is not exciting. The momentum that can swallow the sky is enough to scare people to death. But if it's wonderful, it doesn't seem to be able to tell where there is something outstanding. The only thing I don't understand about the 3rd time and the first 2 times is that Long Chen didn't slap Yi Lingxiao in the face. Long Chen shook Yi Lingxiao back with a sword, looking at the thunder runes scattered in his hands. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. Lei Linger is indeed much stronger. The thunder sword that condenses at will is comparable to the heavenly holy soldier, and they can already stand alone. Boom! Yi Lingxiao's aura was still climbing wildly, as if there was no bottom line. Oh my god, why is his destiny roulette so strong? It's been so long and it hasn't reached its peak state yet? A son of destiny exclaimed. Generally, when the son of destiny summons the destiny roulette, it will reach its peak state in one breath. But some people are talented, and their destiny roulette has a larger capacity. It takes more time to fully awaken. But even if he is talented, he usually reaches the peak within 3 breaths. However, Yilingxiu's destiny roulette has reached 10 times as long as others, and it is still climbing wildly. Boom boom boom. As his destiny roulette vibrated, the void burst, forming ripples which kept spreading in all directions, and the space runes kept exploding, and the scene was terrifying. Buzz, suddenly there was no sign. Yilingxiu shot. This time, it was the same trick as before, but the momentum was several times stronger than before. Where did you fall down? Where did you get up? It's a stubborn donkey. Seeing Yilingxiu coming, Long Chen sneered, opened his big hands, a snow-white ice sword in his hand, and the sword fell. Boom! There was another explosion, and the ice and snow filled the sky, scattered in every corner of the ring, and Yilingxiu was knocked flying again. Chi-chi. However, this time, instead of flying out, he flew halfway, landed on both feet, and dragged the ground to the edge of the ring. This time, he was not as embarrassed as the previous 3 times. Ooh. However, what people didn't expect was that the broken ice chips fell on the ground, turned into little flames, and kept burning. Some ice chips fell on the enchantment, and the enchantment was burned with holes. Fortunately, there are hundreds of enchantments, and the flame only burns through 3 and then no longer has the strength to burn, but slowly extinguishes. Seeing this scene, many people's eyes showed horror, and even Long Tianrui was moved and blurted out, "Ice soul flame, an ice-like flame can burn through such a strong barrier, and only the ice soul divine flame on the Skyfire ranking can do it. This bastard has mastered it." At that moment, Yilingxiu and Zhao Qingtian in the ring were full of jealousy in their eyes. At the same time, they were also vigilant in their jealousy. This kind of flame was too terrifying, even they should be careful. Yilingxiu's face turned cold at this moment. At that moment, he seemed to have calmed down a lot, and his breath was still rising wildly, as if it would never end. He looked at Long Chen and said coldly, "Originally, my move was prepared for Long Tianrui. If you can die under this move, you can rest your eyes." Yilingxiu stretched out his left hand, and the Lingfeng sword swiped in the palm of his hand. The blood overflowed instantly. Yilingxiu's blood-stained big hand grabbed the Lingfeng sword suddenly. Ling Feng is possessed. Suddenly, a pair of strange eyes appeared in the wheel of destiny behind Yilingxiu. At that moment, Yilingxiu's breath changed instantly. Chapter 50-30 Yilingxiu's aura changed, his breath changed, and even the fluctuation of his soul changed. At that moment, he seemed to be a different person. The eyes are as sharp as electricity, and in the pupils, there are countless runes overlapping. It looks like the eyes of a demon, making people dare not look directly. At that moment in the audience, countless people exclaimed, especially the strong men of the Yi family, their blood boiled, and some people shouted, "Oh my God, Yilingxiu actually used Lingfeng to possess his body. In this state, Long Chen will surely die." Lingfeng possession is one of the strongest tricks of my Yi family. From ancient times to the present, there have been countless practitioners, but there are only a handful of people who can withstand it. Yilingxiu is too strong. When he makes this move, it means that everything is over and there is nothing to do with Zhao Qingtian at all. For a time, the strong men of the Yi family shouted loudly, completely forgetting the previous scene where Long Chen slapped Yilingxiu continuously. Because the Yi family disciples all know how perverted and terrifying this move is. In fact, in the Yi family, anyone whose strength reaches a certain level will be tested by Lingfeng possession. The so-called Lingfeng possession means that the Lingfeng swords will is attached to the disciples to see if the disciples can withstand its will. Yi used this kind of test to make a preliminary judgment on a disciple's potential. Unfortunately, in the contemporary era, half of Lingfengs can't do it. Therefore, this move in contemporary times only belongs to the legendary existence, and no one has seen it with their own eyes. Now that Yilingxiu has performed it, the Yi family disciples are suddenly excited. The Lingfeng sword, as the inheritance magic weapon of the Yi family, is regarded as the supreme existence, and it is also the treasure of the Yi family. And its name comes from a peerless powerhouse of the Yi family, Yilingfeng. This is his magic weapon. Before he died, he dissolved his live strength and will into the sword. From then on, his soul merged with the sword spirit and became an inherited divine weapon to protect the Yi family. The Yi family worshipped it for a long time, and there were other strong people who imitated Yi Lingfeng and injected their power into it before they died. This Lingfeng sword has already fused the souls and wills of dozens of peerless powerhouses. Therefore, the pressure that needs to be endured to integrate it is unimaginable. At least in the Yi family, only Yi Lingxiao can do it alone. In order to kill Long Chen, Yi Lingxiao took the Lingfeng sword with him, replacing the original weapon. Now, Yi Lingfeng used Lingfeng possession. At that moment, it was like he was possessed by dozens of powerhouses at the same time. The power of dozens of powerhouses was all integrated into his body, so his breath became messy and chaotic. Furious again. Boom! Yi Lingxiao, who had cast Lingfeng possession, had a turbulent aura, and endless cyclones exploded and reunited. Behind the wheel of destiny, vague figures appeared from time to time, and the scene was extremely terrifying. Long Chen, are you ready for death? Yi Lingxiao looked at Long Chen, and his voice also changed. There was a hint of hoarseness in his old age, and there was no trace of human emotion. Since I stepped into the cultivation world, I have been welcoming the coming of death, but unfortunately, it refuses to come to me, and I have no choice. Facing Yi Lingxiao, who used Lingfeng's possession, Long Chen was still calm. Idiot, you are already dying but you don't know it yet. This trick, I originally reserved it for Long Tianrui, but used it on you, am really not reconciled. In return, then you smash your corpse into 10,000 pieces, smash your bones to ashes. Buzz, the Lingfeng sword in Yi Lingxiao's hand trembled slightly, and with this trembling, the sword's edge only moved a few inches, but it cut through the space, causing the entire arena to vibrate. At that moment, countless people changed color. Yi Lingxiao at this time is no longer Yi Lingxiao. Under Lingfeng's possession, his strength has reached an unimaginable height. Are you sure that Long Chen will not be killed by him? Seeing this scene, Jiang Wuang looked at Feng Fei. He also didn't expect that Yi Lingxiao and Ling Fengjian's fusion degree was so high. With a slight shake, it showed that he could easily control all the power in Ling Fengjian, which was terrifying. Anyway, if he hadn't used the family's inheritance magic weapon Yi Lingxiao at this time, he couldn't catch a move. No wonder, he said that this move was prepared for Long Tianrui, and now he is indeed with Long Tianrui is qualified to challenge the board. Long Chen is a very thief, his trump cards are endless. I've known him for so long, I've never seen him run out of trump cards. You see that Long Chen has not yet entered the fighting state, you should know that at this time he is still at ease. Feng Fei said very confidently. In the ring at this time, Zhao Qingtian saw Yi Lingxiao entering Ling Feng's body. His face was a little ugly, and he slowly retreated to the edge of the ring. He didn't expect that Yi Lingxiao would show his trump cards so quickly. This was not giving him a chance at all. He was very unwilling, but he couldn't do anything about it. Yi Lingxiao's eyes were like knives, staring at Long Chen, and the Lingfeng sword in his hand was slowly raised. As the Lingfeng sword was raised, the airflow of the entire arena surged rapidly, and a fierce murderous intent directly locked Long Chen. Only a small part of the killing intent came from Yi Lingxiao, and more came from the wills in Lingfeng's sword. These wills, like bloodthirsty demons, finally got the chance to kill, revealing their hideous faces. Cut! Yi Lingxiao slammed down and pressed down his arm, and he slashed with a sword without any fancy. The Lingfeng sword ripped apart the space and made a harsh sonic boom. At the same time, it also came with a strange scream, like an ancient nightmare. Anyone who heard this voice felt severe pain in their souls, as if an invisible big hand grabbed their soul and dragged it out of the body. Before the attack arrives, the interference comes first, making it impossible to concentrate, let alone overcome fear. The most terrifying thing is that if the person is weaker, he will even lose the heart of resistance and be bent on death. At this time, all the people in the audience were shocked by the terrifying momentum of this sword, and they finally understood why the Yi family disciples cheered uncontrollably when they saw this scene. Yi Lingxiao at this time was too terrifying. A sword slashed, neither fast nor slow, every process, let people see clearly, as if Yi Lingxiao deliberately let everyone see how Long Chen finally died under the sword. However, when the long sword hit the top of Long Chen's head, Long Chen slowly stretched out his big hand and grabbed it towards Ling Feng's sword. What? Is he crazy? He's giving up his resistance. Under Yi Lingxiao's Lingfeng possession, Long Chen actually grabbed the Lingfeng sword with his bare hands. What is the difference between this and courting death? Long Chen's arm was covered with blood-colored dragon scales, and a faint cross appeared in the palm of his hand, blocking Yi Lingxiao's long sword. Boom, there was an explosion, and the air waves shook the sky. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.